The skinny horse did not die, but when he slowly opened his eyes, he saw Chen departing and thought to himself how sad it was, and to think that he, the dragon tribe's third prince, a fabled beast, an azure dragon, would end up like this in the end, he thought. As he became weaker and weaker with every turn, Xiaoqi knelt down, and she touched his head, telling him that we all had seen his labor, blood, and tears while working for Master. The skinny horse then bowed and requested that she please show him guidance. While he was bowing, he was sweating bullets as he was still weak. Xiaoqi stood up and reminded him that while he had tilled hundreds of acres of land and even sprinkled it with dragon droppings, he was missing one critical step. She pointed to the ground and told him that was due to the land being mixed up. She said that only by combining the dragon droppings with the ground and allowing it to be a freement could it be used to its full potential. And the skinny horse prepared to return to the field. The skinny horse wanted to work, but he was shaking from exhaustion. Chen returned, astonished that Xiaoqi was here, and he asked her why she was here. Xiaoqi immediately responded, saying that the skinny horse is cultivating land again, and it's so much fun, she stated. Chen encouraged her not to worry and grabbed some leaves from a tree. He told her he wanted to be a horse doctor. And because Xiaoqi loved the skinny horse, and if I killed it, she would be devastated, Chen reasoned. Chen demonstrated the drug to them. And they were all wide-eyed in shock, drooling slightly because the medicine in the bottle smelt so wonderful. In astonishment, Xiaoqi questioned him. What exactly is it? Chen informed her that he would provide naturopathic medicine to the skinny horse and observe its effectiveness. The tiny horse was drinking the medicine while he was saying this. The skinny horse began to recover and even develop muscle. He began to run, telling himself that his waist itched, his legs didn't hurt, and he had the strength to mix the dirt. He moved like a cheetah. Chen glanced at the horse, perplexed as to how the animal recovered so quickly, and he returned his gaze to Xiaoqi, saying, "The skinny horse." He paused a second later. He gave up by trying to understand what just happened and told her he would just let it be. He then informed her that she would be accompanying him to town the following day, and Xiaoqi inquired, "What for?" Chen responded by informing her that he should sell his calligraphy and paintings. Someone yawned the following morning in Qingxi town. As this individual imagined himself to be the top genius of the Scared Sword Palace, I used my might and toured the world to break through. However, it had been a year, he reflected. This was Yan Xiaofeng. While strolling, he pondered, sword, Dao, when will I understand its true meaning? And then he sensed a powerful aura, and he thought to himself, what a scary aura, what could have happened? And Yan Xiao saw. The other people gathered around something, and he heard someone exclaim, "No surprise, Mr. Chen's paintings truly deserve to be called masterpiece." One person commented on how lovely it was. And a customer inquired if old Wang might sell this to him? And people began to shout even louder, saying, "I'd pay double if you sold it to me." Yan Xiao moved closer to the artwork, enraged that a group of mortals would desecrate such a treasure. Yan Xiao's eyes widened in surprise as he examined the painting more closely. He sensed the water around him and observed the method used by the artist in the painting. The man in the painting just looks at him, his eyes glowing gold, and Yan Xiao reaches out to touch him. As he felt the sword intent, Yan Xiao realized he couldn't touch him and headed for Boss Wang. When Yan Xiao saw the painting, he realized it represented the greatest domain of Dao's sword intent. Yan Xiao turned Boss Wang around and yelled in his face, asking them how much they wanted for the artwork and begging them to sell it to him. Boss Wang was taken aback when he asked Yan Xiao who he was. "Is it his turn now?" he inquired. Another customer informed him that Boss Wang was correct and that he was the first to arrive. Yan Xiao caressed the back of his neck as he apologized, telling him that he stated this painting was done by Mr. Chen. Therefore, he wondered whether Boss Wang knew where he was. Boss Wang simply pointed outside and told him he had just departed. Yan Xiao had just run outside to catch up with Chen when he realized that the person who drew it must be a being above the level of painting kings, and potentially the drawing emperor of the Shenwu continent. But why would the great emperor of drawing sell his masterpiece to such insignificant immortals? He questioned himself. Yan Xiao noticed Chen being greeted by someone and returned the greeting. Da Shan simply looked away, uninterested in this person. Xiaoqi was taken aback by something. And Xiaoqi expressed her desire to eat it to his brother. And because this person assumed Mr. Chen had to be the same as him in order to travel, he disguised himself as a mortal in order to make a breakthrough. But before they could get there, they were stopped by someone who said, "Mr. Chen, please wait." "Are you calling me?" Chen asked as he turned around. Yan Shao responded, saying he was mesmerized by the artwork of the swordsman drawing in the future Yuan Inn. He stated that he had followed him to ask for a piece of his art and apologized for bothering him. Chen was startled since he didn't just appear like a swordsman fan, but also like someone who enjoyed painting. Chen made the decision to assist him. He accepted with a smile and told him it was 10 gold for a painting while showing him the artwork that was sparkling with golden chi. Chen informed him that his paintings and calligraphy may only be sold to people he meets by state, and how fate brought them together in such a crowded metropolis, so he'll sell it to him. But Yan Xiaofeng didn't listen because he was too excited to check for the money in his bag, and Shaoqi only glanced at him blankly. Yan Xiao thanked him and handed him the money, which Chen accepted. While Chen turned away, Shaoqi glanced down at Yan Xiaofeng, thinking to herself, what a simpleton that he couldn't even comprehend Master's profundity. Meanwhile, Yan Xiao stared in awe at the painting. He unrolled the scroll to see what type of painting it was, but when he glanced at it, he didn't realize its profound meaning since he saw a bird. Yan Xiao's eyes bulged in shock as it turned into its actual form a split second later. As he pondered, Phoenix Nirvana, because he was aware that the phoenix is the Feng Wu nation's totem, he lost Nirvana and changed into a chicken. Yan Xiao became serious as he thought Chen was suggesting the Feng Wu nation has an issue and wants him to go there. He then walked away. Meanwhile, in the Cold Nation, Palace was the hidden room the Emperor was attempting to cultivate, but he was having difficulty due to a black aura surrounding him. The third princess, Xiao Zi, inquired of her mother, the Empress, as to what was happening to her father, the Emperor. She was worried about her father. The Empress responded, telling her that the Feng Wu nation had duped her father. Her mother sobbed as she described what had happened to her husband. As she mentioned Feng Wu nation, Xiao Zi was stunned. Isn't that where sect Master Yi Jinghong is going? Her eyes widened as she questioned herself. She then smiled as she realized her father and mother didn't have to be concerned. She then stood forward, confidently declaring, I recently became acquainted with a master, and the Feng Wu nation will be immediately annihilated. The Emperor was fatigued as he stared at her, and he questioned her, asking what had caused her to speak such a thing. Xiao Zi informed him that while he was unaware, Master had dispatched the Cloud Sword Sect's master, Yi Jinghong, to the Feng Wu nation. The Emperor chose to dismiss Yi Jinghong's name after learning it. His wife moved closer to him when he said this. When his wife arrived, she assisted him in getting up. He told Xiao Zi that he had decided to hand up the throne to her brother as he stood up. The Emperor stood up fully, although he struggled to stay upright because he was sweating, but he continued to speak to her, telling her that from now on, she must accept him with all her strength and not consider fighting for the crown. With a solemn tone, he stated. The Empress instructed her daughter to pay attention to his father's words. Xiao Zi smiled as she continued to inform her father that Yi Jinghong had decided to trust on Master, without even arguing. She informed them that he is now in the early stages of martial dragon development. She informed them that his lord had even given him a spiritual weapon to take over the Feng Wu nation. She then shared some excellent news with them, informing them that she has become a servant for Master and that she will remain by his side to water his flowers. When the Emperor and Empress heard this, they were shocked since they couldn't believe their daughter had done such a thing. The princess is a servant who will water flowers. The Emperor suddenly grasped his chest as if he had had a heart attack as a result of what her daughter had just spoken. The Empress was so taken aback that she could no longer speak beautifully like an empress as she yelled at her, "What master bullshit? And how can a stately princess like her serve someone else?" she inquired. Enough, Xiao Zi remarked gently. This is pointless as she unleashed her new power. She urged them to look at how powerful she had become, and the Emperor was astounded, sweating bullets that she had broken through 3 realms. Xiao Zi smiled and assured them it wasn't just her. Aunt Shui informed them that she had already passed the heavenly martial stage. She went on to say that it was rumored that the master came from the forbidden land of legends known as Earth. The Emperor was stunned once more, wondering how a master could exist on the Shenwu continent. The Empress was astounded as well, and she wondered if he was seeing what she was seeing. The emperor glanced at her and said, "This must be a powerful person. The princess is his servant." He then recommended to his wife that they greet him and invite him to protect the country. Meanwhile, Da Zhuang summoned Chen and told him to return. He then approached him and informed him that he had apprehended the smugglers. Shaoqi was perplexed as to how he had caught them. Da Zhuang replied that he went out and met two people who claimed he is some kind of monkey with noble blood, and he felt suspicious and followed them. He immediately yelled that this ruse could not fool him, and when he remembered the traffickers Chen mentioned, he joyfully told them, "I caught them." Both the strange man and the man who Da Zhuang believe are traffickers bowed politely and shouted loudly, saying, "Mr. Chen, please realize we aren't traffickers, he just misunderstood," they both stated. Xiao Bai stood in front of him, shaking his tail. Chen knelt down to let Shaoqi off his back, and he asked her what she thought and if they were the ones who abducted her. But before she could respond, Chen asked Da Zhuang, who was the one who wounded them. Da Zhuang pointed to Xiao Bai, who nodded silently in agreement. Shaoqi went to the alleged traffickers while they were discussing. Chen praised Xiao Bai and asked him a question with a smile. How did he know they were evil? Xiao Bai did not respond because he was pleased that his master had praised him, and he cheered. Shaoqi takes a careful look at them because she aspires to be like master, being modest and treating people with respect. Both of them gazed at Shaoqi, shocked to see the spiritual rabbit. Shaoqi then turned around and told Chen that it wasn't them that kidnapped her and that she didn't know who they were. Chen clenched his teeth, enraged. Did I make a mistake? Did I really capture the wrong people? He wondered. Xiao Bai was also taken aback. The second guy was taken aback as he realized something. Then he spoke up, asking Chen if the traffickers he's looking for are related to his younger sister. Shaoqi was astonished, as did Chen and Xiao Bai, and Chen responded as he agreed that Shaoqi had been abducted and brought to Qingxi town, and I'm attempting to discover those who abducted her, he said. He then informed him that he knew who the traffickers were and that he could bring them here. Chen told him that he had misunderstood him and had even injured him, but he was still eager to help him, and he promised to cure his wounds. Both of the men bowed to him, and the other, who was speaking to him, begged him to stay and promised to bring the traffickers back for him. Chen expressed gratitude for his troubles, and he walked away. After Chen had left, his other friend asked him if he knew the traffickers. The other guy responded, saying the small girl was a spiritual rabbit, and he is afraid the secrets of the Jade Rabbit clan may have something to do with the traffickers Mr. Chen is referring to. He then told him that once he found out, he would inquire with the clan's leader. The other person was concerned when he stated that their job was to bring Hu Da Zhuang back, and that, while Mr. Chen is amazing, did you have to suck up to him? He inquired. The guy became enraged at him and yelled at him, asking if he was a pig. He informed him that Hu Da Zhuang was initially garbage with no spiritual skill and had been expelled from the clan. The same garbage reawakened the purest battle monkey sage Bloodveins. Who else in the family is comparable? He then went on to claim that while he was researching Hu Da Zhuang, he overheard him mention that Mr. Chen had always supported him, and that Chen was the one who helped him awaken his blood veins. As the second person told his companion that they would take advantage of Mr. Chen and also be able to awaken their blood veins, the males revealed their true intentions and greed. They both saw themselves as the phony Monkey King. Chen stepped out of the home and, seeing Shaoqi washing, told her to let him wash the clothes. Shaoqi, on the other hand, did not stop washing as she had told him. She did not want to be a child anymore, and she would assist him wash his clothing so that he could rest. Chen touched her on the head and told her she was very understanding and that if only there was a washing machine. Shaoqi stared at him with interest and wondered, washing machine? Chen inquired of Xiao Bai about the dog home he had given him. Xiao Bai barked happily while smiling. Shaoqi was wide-eyed as Chen smiled at Xiao Bai, wondering if this was a quest that Master had assigned her to find this thing called a washing machine. Chen began to finish building the doghouse, and his carpenter god power was triggered. The horse was wide-eyed. Da Shan closed his eyes as he sensed Chen's power, and Xiao Bai simply smiled, delighted that his master was building him a doghouse. The bird wondered why his master had only given him a house and not him. The demonic ant concurred, wondering if Xiao Bai was the favorite. When Xiao Bai heard them, he grinned and said, "Of course, it's because today I have the upper hand. I used to be able to act cute. But, with Shaoqi in the way, I'll have to find another means to catch Master's attention, he explained. And today, he said he bit those 2 monkeys, referring to those with the power of the Monkey King, but he continued telling them that Chen gave him the position of watchdog, so naturally I could be the favorite, he said. The skinny horse spoke up solemnly, stating that Master's thinking is incomprehensible and that he, too, must think carefully and do other things instead of plowing the soil to earn a Master's attention. Da Shan agreed, adding the small dragon is correct, and he, too, has ways to help Master. The bird and the ant both agreed. Chen completed the construction of the doghouse. Xiao Bai hurried inside, thinking that this doghouse is so comfy that he won't have to cultivate because spiritual energy is following him inside, and he can even break through his slumber. Chen smiled, glad that Xiao Bai saw him enjoying the doghouse, while Xiao Bai was rolling about in delight. Xiao Bai suddenly froze, stood up, and became solemn. The third princess, Xiao Zi, and her family entered, and Xiao Zi smiled and informed Chen that she and Aunt Shui had returned. Xiao Bai instantly laughed at the Emperor and Empress. He used some of his power while doing so. The Emperor and Empress were perplexed as to why the dog was approaching them. The Emperor was stunned, his eyes bulging, and he wondered why there was a wailing unclean dog. When Xiao Bai reached the Emperor, he bit him very painfully, causing the monarch to scream in anguish. Chen screamed in shock, wondering why he was biting their acquaintance. Is Xiao Bai rebelling? He asked himself. After saying this, Chen asked the Emperor whether he was okay. The princess intervened, telling him that everything was great and that her father was strong, and Xiao Bai simply smiled joyfully. Chen rubbed the back of his head as he told them to talk inside. Xiao Bai was relieved that the master didn't blame him, and he assumed Chen had high hopes for him as a watchdog. Xiao Bai became resolute, declaring that he must remain vicious. When the Emperor saw the doghouse, he inquired, "Is this a doghouse?" When the Empress saw how well crafted the house was, she was taken aback. The Emperor was appalled that he desired to sleep in it. The Empress trembled, frightened that her husband intended to sleep in a doghouse, and she yelled at him to calm down. Chen then informed Yin Shui and Xiao Zi that he would go right to the point. He mentioned this while offering them tea. Chen said that their new duty will be to care after the livestock, and their pay will be 3,500 copper coins plus accommodation. He then asked if they were okay with it. They both agreed, saying no problem, and the Emperor drank his tea while they talked. He was amazed that this tea was magnificent when he drank it, and his injuries were entirely cured as all the darkness that was in him went, and the tea began to glow gold, and the Emperor realized that he had made a breakthrough. While that was going on, Chen handed Yin Shui and Xiao Zi a grass-cutting tool and told them to take it. Both Yin Shui and Xiao Zi noticed how powerful the grass-cutting tools were. Xiao Zi smiled and informed him that she had to send her parents back because her house was quite far away and that she would return at night. Chen smiled and assured her that everything was fine. Xiao Zi walked quickly for an unexplained purpose. The Emperor questioned her, saying, "Why is she in such a hurry to leave?" The Empress was also concerned because she suspected something was wrong. The Emperor then shouted that they would have enjoyed a meal. Xiao Zi cut him off as she turned around and yelled angrily at him, "Because Master is angry at me," she said. The Empress smiled uneasily and informed her daughter that Chen had given her a gift, and she wondered how he could be furious at her. Xiao Zi sobbed as she explained that before the Master promised, she would water the plants, but now he ordered, "Take care of the livestock." Chen gave Yin Shui a soul weapon, and I received a spiritual weapon, she explained. She sobbed even more, wondering what he would do if he wasn't upset at her. The Emperor yelled at her, telling her that even if the Master was upset, she couldn't blame them because he had previously informed Xiao Zi that he always respected the Master. Xiao Zi was enraged, yelling that he only respected him in his mind, not in his heart. The Empress was perplexed, wondering how Master knew. "Can he read people's minds?" she inquired. Xiao Zi responded, saying, "Of course. Master's words are always profound, and you guys disappointed me," she said. Her mother tried to console her, telling her not to be unhappy, and that the fact that the Master allowed her to stay meant that he wasn't really furious, and that he was simply watching over us, she stated. Xiao Zi was astounded that her mother could understand the Master. The Empress then informed them that the Master had animals in his yard who did not require somebody to look after the lawn. As she continues to tell them that it indicates Master wants her and her husband to bring more spiritual beasts to atone for their crimes, they become more convinced. The Emperor then told her wife that they were going to the unending sea. Shaoqi, who was swinging, grinned brightly and said, "There's a great vine sprouting on the soft green ground." When Dragonvine heard this, he wondered if his lord wanted him to transform into a grapevine. He smiled as he pondered. Chen sighed as he realized it had been 21 days, and Yi Qingwu had still not returned a present. He then asked himself if he had been rejected. His eyes widened as he noticed something ahead. His eyes bulged in surprise as he saw hundreds of people approaching him, and he exclaimed, "What is going on?" Qing Potion greeted his master and informed him that he had recruited 100 people for him. He continued to inform him that he had explained the situation to everyone and that they were all willing to do what he said, as all 100 people were assigned to work for the master. Chen congratulated him, saying he was highly dependable, but Chen was still perplexed as to how he could even recruit this many people. Qing Potion only smiled and rubbed the back of his head. "Come on, I'll assign everyone their work," Chen remarked, and the 100 individuals who heard this applauded. Xiao Zi was still working hard in the field 2 hours later. And as they were working, Chen called out to them, asking them to come here for a moment, so they stood up and walked to him. When they arrived, Chen informed them that the task of feeding the livestock would now be delegated to others. And, as he held the equipment for the job, they will proceed to the yard and sweep the floor as well as water the plants. When Yin Shui and Xiao Zi gazed at the tools, they were taken aback by the qi that surrounded them. Both Yin Shui and Xiao Zi stared at each other, surprised that they had gotten another job, and Chen thought to himself that it should be the heart work. The ladies can do their basic jobs, he thought. After Chen went, both Yin Shui and Xiao Zi rejoiced, and Yin Shui exclaimed, "Master expects me to sweep in every direction. Master expects me to water the mountains and rivers," Xiao Zi thought. "Watering the mountains and rivers, nurturing all things," said Xiao Zi softly. Yin Shui smiled as she told Xiao Zi that only the queen is qualified to perform such a vital work, and the master must be confessing to her. Xiao Zi reddened and said, "Don't say such nonsense." When Chen's pet heard what Yin Shui said, they approached, and Xiao Bai clapped with his paws, and Yin Shui and the skinny horse bowed, as did Dashish, because they all assumed Xiao Zi was the master's wife. Xiao Zi advised Xiao Bai that they are aware of the situation and should disregard it. They shouldn't say whatever they want if Chen doesn't make it public, understand? She stated. Xiao Bai simply agreed as his eyes smiled. After the dogs had all gone, Xiao Zi pictured herself with Chen, and Chen told her that she was the only lady who could stand by his side. And she began to become a little greedy as she reminded herself that she had not come here to be master's maid. She believed it was her destiny to accompany her master to rule the world. Her greed was eventually revealed when she pictured herself holding a planet and thinking that only power could make her feel noble and joyful. Before she could go insane, Chen called out to her, inviting her to accompany him to the reading room because he had something to ask her. She smiled brightly and told him she was on her way. In the reading room, she envisioned herself kissing Chen. She blushed and said, "That's too early." She smiled, thinking that the master's strength was unfathomable. She reasoned that the world would undoubtedly be dominated in the future. She imagined herself as the mistress of the person who would dominate millions of people if she performed the deed today. She then shut the door and asked him genuinely what Chen wanted to know. Chen stroked the back of his head awkwardly and said, "All right, fine." He realized he hadn't expected Xiao Zi to be on guard, and conversing with her alone is making things difficult. Chen reddened, and he wondered if someone like her had given her a gift. What would her reaction be? So straightforward, there is no doubt that the master likes me, she thought. Chen reasoned that because she, too, was a girl, she should have the same thoughts as Yi Qingwu. Yes, I see. He's attempting to figure out how a girl thinks. That is such a bad concept. It's almost like attempting to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos. She turned around and abruptly announced that she had accepted. Chen was taken aback and perplexed by what she was saying. She grew nervous after realizing what she had done and stuttered. What I meant was if I don't like that person, I won't accept their present, she explained. She continued to assure him, cautiously, that if she liked that guy, she would return a gift for him. Chen considered it, and he told himself that he was correct in asking for Xiao Zi and that she could truly grasp the girl's mentality better, which is true. Only another girl can understand a girl's mind. Xiao Zi looked at Chen, thinking that even if Chen hadn't said I love you, she would have to be patient. Chen gave an uneasy smile. He then questioned if someone had accepted the gift but had not returned it. What does it all mean? He inquired. Xiao Zi told him that maybe it's because they have things to attend to, so all the gift specials got delayed, and it's not simple to refuse them, so it would be a cold treatment. Chen then worried what situation Yi Qingwu could be in. Xiao Zi's eyes widened as she realized Chen had given her a watering pot as a token of his affection. And she felt he was reminding her that if she likes him, she ought to return a gift right away, she assumed. 3 days later, there were modern buildings nearby, and all of the workers finished their work. That's the 5 elements spiritual gathering array from the legends, exclaimed this guy. Qing Potion stood next to him. As he questioned him, he asked if he truly believed that the construction site chosen by the master was at random. He told him that he would have the opportunity to witness master's means in the future. Chen suddenly cried out to Qing Potion, telling him that the guys he hired are extremely efficient, having rebuilt the dormitory and canteen in just 3 days. Qing Potion bowed to his master, adding, "It's for you, Mr. Chen, so why wouldn't they give it their all?" Chen chuckled and told him he was really humorous, and Xiao Zi smiled. He looked about at the Morden structures and remarked it would be ideal if the basketball court could be put here. And when everyone is free, he says, they may play basketball or even host a competition. Qing Potion was wide-eyed and perplexed as he inquired about what a basketball court was. Chen responded, saying a basketball court is where you play basketball, but it's pointless to build a basketball court if there's no basketball. Xiao Zi inquired, what is a basketball? Chen became animated as he described a basketball with a leathery feel that may be pumped with a bounce. And he added, you can also spank it, with a grin, as he was more interested in the spanking than in basketball. Xiao Zi pondered where she had seen something like this before. Xiao Zi smiled and requested Chen for a few days off so she could see her family. He consented, reminding her that it's difficult for a girl like her to work outside and that when she leaves, she must bring Da Shan with her, as it will make her journey easier. Chen and Qing Potion then left her alone. She felt compelled to locate this basketball after they had left her, in order for her to return a present for Senior's confession. In the livestock shed a few minutes later, Da Shan begged Mistress to teach them, and the skinny horse added that they, too, desired Master's love and care. Xiao Zi softly asked them to stand up, and they complied, but slowly. After they awoke, Xiao Zi informed them that she had cared for them for a few days and had developed feelings. Of course, I don't want to see you abandoned, she explained. She then informed Da Shan that the senior had instructed him to join her, and she asked him whether he understood what he meant. Da Shan agreed, informing her that he would do everything he could to help the great mistress. Xiao Zi then told them that her master had instructed her to seek down a treasure, and based on its description, it had to be the lustrous pearl of legends. Knowing exactly what it was, the horse was astounded that it was the lustrous pearl. Xiao Zi informed the skinny horse that they were an ancient beast. She then asked whether she knew where it was. The skinny horse said that the treasure is the black tortoise clam, and the dragon clan has been looking for it for thousands of years. He smiled, pleased that it had been proven that it was in the chilling nation. When he met the master, he was likewise on the lookout for the lustrous pearl. As Xiao Zi petted his head, she recommended he tell her more about the lustrous pearl. The skinny horse consented, claiming the dragon tribe had a picture of the lustrous pearl that he could show her. Now that I think about it, the lustrous pearl appears to be suspicious. Something came out of the skinny horse's mouth. She was astounded to see the image of the lustrous pearl. She said, let's go, after seeing the lustrous pearl. And she waved to the skinny horse, telling him he was a huge help and that she couldn't have done it without him. Yi Jinghong was floating in the air over Fengming Nation Imperial City. He yelled that Master would eventually take the world, and he encouraged them to surrender as quickly as possible. He yelled once more, when are you going to answer? A dark mist began to form, saying in a demonic tone, what crap Master, and he had never heard of him. Yi Jinghong yelled at him, informing him that his master was from the forbidden land known as Earth. And he's ignorant, of course, because you've never heard of him, he snarled. Yi Jinghong became concerned as he pondered what this foreboding fog was and why there was such a strong demonic aura. The dark cloud began to react as he warned him in a demonic tone that even if he caused trouble with that little weapon, the master he spoke of is just average. Yi Jinghong utilized his might and the power of the Ho to yell at him, "How dare you disrespect master?" He then yelled, "Die." As he pushed back the dark cloud, Yi Jinghong yelled in wrath. The dark fog caused a tornado, and Yi Jinghong was perplexed as to what was going on. And the dark cloud attacked him, and Yi Jinghong coughed up blood as he did so. And he fell to the ground, landing violently. The dark cloud smiled wickedly as he advised him that he return to the Zhu Xian palace while he could. Instead of being in pain, Yi Jinghong relaxed as he talked calmly to the dark cloud, adding that although he didn't know what Zhu Xian palace was, this had to be expected by master, he said. Yi Jinghong guessed that because he couldn't beat him, the master must have arranged for someone to come help him. The dark cloud scowled at him, telling him his words were meaningless. He then yelled for him to die, and his dark cloud formed a hand to crush him as it descended. But, just before Yi Jinghong was about to be crushed, someone said, "The lonely shadow in the cloud river, the wandering old friend. Why do we need to get to know each other before we meet?" A golden glow encircled his body as he appeared, ready to assault. Suddenly, a sword slashed the dark cloud, who was stunned and questioned who he was. The strange figure was using his technique to slice the dark cloud. And he was perched atop a sword in the air. The unknown man suddenly removed his mask, revealing himself to be swordsman Yan Shaofeng, and Yi Jinghong was sweating bullets in disbelief at such technique. Yi Jinghong stared at this guy, a little angry, and questioned him what he was doing here. Yi Jinghong rose up and dusted himself, urging him to get rid of that man as soon as possible. Yan Shaofeng did not respond. Instead, he told him that he had saved him, but he still spoke to him in that tone. He stated. Yi Jinghong narrowed his eyes at him, telling him that he was Senior Chen's pawn and that he had been commanded to capture the Fengming nation. "And may it be due to Senior Chen that he appeared?" he inquired. Yan Shaofeng's eyes widened as he considered Yi Jinghong's question. The guy who was a cloud appeared, darkly chuckling and pointing at them, telling Yi Jinghong, "Such nonsense, master." Even his comrade didn't recognize him. He was about to chuckle again when he was stopped by a blade in front of him. Yan Shao, still wide-eyed, inquired if he was referring to Chen from Qingxi town. Yi Jinghong agreed, telling him that he guessed master's plan correctly as he rubbed his mustache. And quickly, Yan Shaofeng knew what to do as his eyes glowed gold, stating, "The drawing told me that Fengming nation is in trouble," and he prepared his attack. Many swords fell on the unknown Dark Lord as he realized this man was going to murder him. All the swords struck him, but before he died, he yelled, "Just wait for the endless revenge of their Zuxian palace." After the Dark Lord died, Yan Shaofeng made all the swords around him vanish. All the elders of the Fengming nation came out, bowing and declaring their willingness to surrender to the master. Yi Jinghong chuckled and told them that their vision wasn't awful. Yi Jinghong introduced himself to Yan Shaofeng with respect, informing him that he is Master Chen's frontline for conquering the world. Yan Shaofeng simply smiled and greeted Yi Jinghong before introducing himself, telling him his name is Yan Shaofeng and that he had come to assist him with the senior's instruction. Yi Jinghong and Shaofeng were walking along when Shaofeng told Yi Jinghong that the individual claiming to be from the Zuxian reminded him of the demonic sect from the legends. And he is concerned that this world will not be peaceful. When they reached Chen's place, there were hundreds of people working, and Qing Potion recognized him and remarked, "You're finally back." Qing Potion was taken aback, and he questioned whether this was the person he had hired. Yi Jinghong agreed, although he was startled that Qing Potion had already reached the top martial dragon level. Qin Potion then whispered to him, telling him that his lord was dissatisfied with his and Yi Qingwu's efforts. Yi Jinghong was taken aback when he heard this. Qing Potion recounted to him that master had continuously asked him when Yi Qingwu would return throughout those few days. Yi Jinghong expressed his dissatisfaction with her failure to complete her task. Yi Jinghong sighed, thinking to himself that Yi Qingwu needed to work more or he wouldn't be able to defend her. There was a tree in the Forest of Disillusionment that resembled the god tree from Naruto but had its unique design. Lin Xiaoyan, the guy from the first episode who had his power returned by Chen, was straining to climb out of the tree. A few minutes later, a small piece of the tree hit the sword, and that same peace after the tree dissolved, which astonished him. Lin Xiaoyan remembers receiving this sword from a child he had never met. It was just a kid looking to trade for sweets, nothing more, nothing less. Lin Xiaoyan, on the other hand, thought it was all planned by Master as he used the sword to get out of the tree. Meanwhile, Yi Qingwu was taken aback by the abundance of cloud cicada wings. She then told him that if she could take them all, she would be able to redeem herself for Master. Huang Xiao explained to her that they hadn't been attacked by jade silkworms on the journey because of the cloud cicada wings. Yi Qingwu and Huang Xiao were both amazed when the mystery thing in the tree illuminated and unleashed a powerful aura. This was the colorful jade silkworm. And it said in a dark tone, "You human dare trespass into the jade silkworm's territory," he yelled for them to die. But before it could strike, Yi Qingwu said, "How can there be a mutant colorful jade silkworm?" Huang Xiao did not respond as he planned his own strike, ready to attack. Huang Xiao advised her to retreat. However, a barrier appeared to shield them both before the silkworm could attack. When the silkworm's attack hit a barrier, it just bounced off. The barrier began to dissipate, and Yi Qingwu inquired, questioning Huang Xiao, what was going on. Huang Xiao responded, informing her that the cloud cicada wing was protecting them and that they could only wait and watch. Before he could say anything else, Huang Xiao was stabbed in the chest, and Yi Qingwu screamed in shock. "Do you believe my people's relics will halt my attacks?" As the silkworm seized Yi Qingwu, he told them that they were naive. As she was unable to move, the silkworm informed Yi Qingwu that she was the next victim. Yi Qingwu became depressed since she hadn't completed Senior's mission, and he assumed he was disappointed in her. Huang Xiao died for Senior, and now it's my turn, she reasoned. Lin Xiaoyan saved Yi Qingwu from death by cutting the silkworm in half before it could kill her. But he didn't die, he thought to himself, how can a sword cut his colorful silk threads? Then he noticed the sword, and he realized it was the cold steel divine wood. Lin Xiaoyan assured her not to be concerned as he introduced himself, explaining that Master had sent him to assist her with the job. Even the Jade Silkworm clan is no match for them with this sword given by Master, he replied. Yi Qingwu stroked the jewelry Chen had given her, realizing he hadn't abandoned her. She then asked herself, how could I belittle myself? The silkworm calmed down after telling them that he had inadvertently offended an expert. He then begged them to spare his tribe's people, as he was afraid he and his tribe would be massacred. Yi Qingwu reassured him that they were only here for the cloud cicada wings and would not harm his clan. But before anyone could do anything, someone spoke up, saying, to think that a wooden sword can be a silkworm's weakness. He even used his power to steal Lin Xiaoyan's sword. The old man then seized the sword from Lin Xiaoyan, who was shocked that the blade had been taken from him. Yi Qingwu and Lin Xiaoyan both looked to the side to see who had taken the sword. Lin Xiaoyan yelled that this was a treasure that Master had given him, and if he dared steal it, Master would not let him off the hook. Yi Qingwu stated that they are Master's pawns, and they come for the cloud cicada wings, and they cannot afford the consequences of Master's fury. The elderly man mocked them, saying, Master that, you always talk about him, but tell me who he is, he inquired. Yi Qingwu yelled at him, informing him that Master's is a powerhouse from Earth. The old man then answered, Earth, recognizing the location of legends. Suddenly, he yelled, let's see if your master can save you from this. He then unleashed a powerful blast that would kill them both. Before the blasts could reach Lin Xiaoyan, Yi Qingwu moved him out of harm's way, and he was surprised to see this. She was suddenly in pain as she coughed up blood after being hit by the blast. The elderly guy was thrilled when he saw that she could survive his onslaught, and he congratulated her for her abilities, but he then exclaimed, what about the second attack? As he launched another strike. Yi Qingwu coughed up blood again, thinking to herself that she had failed Master's expectations, and she was worried that this was the end. But at that precise moment, the pendant Chen had given her glowed green. The pendant neutralized the old man's attack, and its aura enveloped Yi Qingwu. And Yi Qingwu was astounded that this pendant could heal her. She felt incredible relaxation across her entire body as the pendant healed her. The pendant whisked her to the chaos world, which astonished her and made her wonder, where is this? When she peered forward, she was even more surprised to see who she saw next, and she murmured his name cautiously, Chen, not knowing if it was him or not. The mysterious Chen was meditating as the magnificent sword rested on top of him, and strange and old symbols surrounded him. The mysterious Chen gradually opened his eyes, and he asked Yi Qingwu, seriously, if she was willing to carry out his will. Yi Qingwu's jaw dropped open in surprise. She knelt in front of her master and informed him she was ready. The mysterious Chen then extended his hand, and Yi Qingwu faltered, saying yes in shock. The mystery Chen approached her and reached for her brow. And he touched her forehead, transferring some of his power to her, and Yi Qingwu thought to herself that Chen was nice to her. "I can't contain my admiration for you," she said. Her shoes and outfit were altered as Chen bestowed his power on her. There was a flower beneath her once she had fully transformed, indicating that Yi Qingwu had truly blossomed into a powerful and attractive woman. Lin Xiaoyan was even more taken aback when he sensed a frightening aura emanating from her and found himself unable to breathe. And he stuttered, realizing that she had descended, and the elderly man was terrified, feeling the great power. Chen was probably correct. When Chen initially encountered her in the first episode, he felt she looked like the fairy in the painting, and now she has genuinely become a fairy from Chinese mythology. And he thought it was all over since he was sweating bullets. Yi Qingwu simply stared at him coldly and told him she wanted his life as an apology for his faults. And he died in such a horrific way that the author didn't even bother drawing it. The silkworm and the other silkworms were shocked and horrified by such a gruesome death, and the new power of Yi Qingwu, the leader of all the silkworms, thought to himself that he had to adapt in front of such a strong person, and for the sake of his tribe, he could only surrender and beg forgiveness. Lin Xiaoyan was then commanded to rise by Yi Qingwu. "You and I are both pawns of Master Chen. Do not kneel in front of me," she said. Lin Xiaoyan smiled and said, "Thank you, Saintess." Silkworm then informed her that he and the Jade Silkworm tribe wished to submit and pledge allegiance to the Saintess. Yi Qingwu consented, instructing him to gather all of the cloud cicada wings and deliver them to her. She held a bright ball in her palm. The silkworm understood, and the entire silkworm tribe entered the bag. She smiled as she realized she had made a mistake in thinking that when Senior handed her an average pendant, it wasn't because he despised her. And she didn't expect her weak understanding to see the beauty of the pendant. When Li Xiaoyan finished, he notified Yi Qingwu that he had collected all of the cloud cicada wings. "Alright, let's go," remarked Yi Qingwu. When the silkworm told Yi Qingwu that she couldn't meet the Senior and work for him, the silkworm was frightened a little. Qingwu glared harshly at the silkworm and motioned for him to follow. While she was floating away, she wondered if Chen was pleased with what she had done, she thought. Meanwhile, Chen sneezed, wondering aloud, "Is someone talking about me?" He then raised his head as he observed something. When he saw the tree, he said to himself, "It's been 10 years, and you're finally blooming." When he heard this, the tree smiled slightly. He watered the vine in the tree while smiling at the tree and dragon vine, unaware that he was doing so. Chen smiled as he stated that this was a high-quality tree. "I'll be able to sell it once it bears fruit if I can't eat them all," he said. The ancient tree was pleased that his master had high hopes for him as a great tree. Chen remarked to himself that it was as if a spring breeze had arrived overnight, like millions of pear trees flowering. How wonderful. At that point, Yi Jinghong appeared and informed Chen that the land had been cultivated, but no one understood how to construct the greenhouse. Chen said that the greenhouse isn't urgent and that he should get a few men to help him build trellises for the big vine so that it can grow fruit. Yi Jinghong said, "I see." They didn't know the elder tree was listening to them, notably Chen, while they were conversing. He then laughed and yelled that he understood. He responded, "Bloom pear blossoms and bear pears, and this is the expectation master has for me." Chen smiled, holding a wooden box, and stated, "My luck today is good," saying that his old tree had blossomed. Chen then stared at the tree, perplexed as to why a willow tree was blooming. The elder tree was also perplexed, wondering aloud, "Is it possible that I misunderstood Master's meaning?" He immediately turned to Shaoqi and asked, "Auntie, quick help me," to which Shaoqi simply smiled. Shaoqi grew annoyed when she told Emperor Qing that she was a junior and that it irritated her that he called her that. She then told him that she had been ignorant in the past but that she could not be like this in the future. Shaoqi then approached Chen, who was busy with something, and Chen looked up to see what she wanted. Shaoqi then informed Chen that this was no ordinary pear tree but rather a golden tree. Chen was taken aback by what Shaoqi said. Shaoqi went on to say that the fruit produced is like gold and wonderful. Chen was surprised hearing this, and the elder tree smiled when he heard this. Meanwhile, Xiao Bai angrily slapped himself. "Oh?" The ant said, "Are you slapping your face?" He then asked if he wanted him to assist him with that. Xiao Bai grew enraged as he transformed, and he growled as his aura surrounded his body. The ant also transformed, and his aura surrounded him, and he snarled. "Huh, guys, I noticed far too late that this image isn't part of the manhwa, but it's still quite great, anyway." Chen was walking when he noticed the folks Yi Jinghong had hired were outstanding since they were willing to face challenges and love to work. Chen approached Yan Xiaofeng and informed him that he was the one wanting to buy a picture for 10 gold coins. He then wondered why he was working here. Yan Xiaofeng responded by informing him that life has recently become difficult, and since Uncle Yi was looking for staff, he opted to work. Chen then told him that because he enjoys painting so much, he can help him tidy up his artwork. Yan Xiaofeng agreed that he could assist him in cleaning up his artwork. They entered the chamber where all of Chen's paintings were, and Chen explained that these paintings had been opened to dry and placed here, but Yan Xiao wasn't listening as he was looking around. Chen was wondering where Yan Xiaofeng was when he noticed he wasn't listening. But when he turned back, he spotted Yan Xiao, who was excited and had a wild smile on his face, and he gave him that look and told him, "What an art nerd." While glancing around, he noticed a painting with an aura around it. Yan Xiaofeng was transported to another realm, where he observed a man making and sculpting a sword in a painting. A whole 10 years not training in a sword, but only by sharpening. After that the man in the painting released his power. This was the realm of being one with the sword. Yan Xiaofeng then bowed, informing Chen that he had suddenly realized that he had unfinished business, and he wondered if it was okay, if he might excuse himself for a while. Chen was taken aback but agreed, ordering him to go about his business. While he was departing, Yan Xiaofeng was silently crying, thinking Chen was using his calligraphy to tell him that if he wanted to be a top-tier swordsman, he couldn't only practice his sword in the nameless mountain to cultivate. And he thought he needed to use his sword to conquer and shape himself. Chen smiled to himself, thinking that fanatics couldn't keep it together. Meanwhile, the Prince Zhao Tai accused Xiao Zi of conspiring with Zhao Song to assassinate the first emperor. He has put Zhao Song under pressure to pick a date for his death so that she will also be apprehended. Da Shan then inquired if the great lady desired him to push Prince Zhao Tai away. Xiao Zi said there was no need. She then yelled angrily at him, calling him a lowly prince attempting to rebel. She then asked him who had given him the courage to do this. General Li Jinye of the Zhen Nation warned the princess not to come bearing harm. Xiao Zi looked at him, puzzled as to how that idiot Zhao Tai had gotten the throne. Zhao Tai smashed his hand against the throne and sprang up hastily, shouting, "Arrogant," and she should address him as Prince Regent. The prince immediately spotted Zhen Nation's General Li Jinye and moved so quickly that he left an after-image and gently told him to seize the throne. Xiao Zi suddenly realized why he hadn't practiced in the party in government for years. She remarked, "You were supporting this trash for years. And the person who really wants to be emperor is him," she explained. Li Jinye, the general of the Zhen Nation, simply smirked. She gave him a chilly stare. She informed him that now that everyone had arrived, it was time to resolve this. The emperor replied, saying it was up to her. When Xiao Zi snapped her fingers, a powerful wave rushed over everyone. Li Jinye was astonished and afraid as he yelled how it was possible and she's a powerful one, and the prince was on the floor as he felt the pressure on him and everyone else. Everyone else felt the pressure of power as well, and they all yelled what was going on within as they were all on the floor. And this person, who I'm not sure how to characterize but who was wearing purple clothes, shouted so terrifying. The door swung open unexpectedly. Xiao Zi and Da Shan emerged, and Da Shan proclaimed the third princess to be empress. And all the elders bowed while shouting, "All hail the empress." While Xiao Zi and Da Shan were standing outside, General Li Jinye, Prince Zhao Tai, and everyone else inside were killed. Before her father left, Xiao Zi informed the elders that he had already determined that the fifth Prince Zhao Song would be made emperor, and that they must immediately free him and fix a date for his enthronement. She then declared coldly that the chilling nation would now be subject to the master of the nameless peak. The old man in purple was shocked and perplexed that the fifth prince had been crowned. The second old man inquired as to the location of the nameless summit. "What master?" said the old guy in purple robes, "and how come they haven't heard of him?" The elders all bowed once more, and they all spoke at the same moment, declaring they would follow her orders. Xiao Zi didn't care what they said since she was thinking to herself, what's the point of being a mere empress of the chilling nation? And it's better to be senior's mistress and dominate the world. This is unbelievable. She renounced her title as empress. I'm not sure if this is crazy or anything more. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is insane? After they finished, they walked to another location, and Dashan asks, so this is the lustrous pearl that has been in the chilling nation shrine the whole time? Xiao Zi then clutched the lustrous pearl in her hand and told Dashan that she had seen it before, but she didn't anticipate it to be the legendary lustrous pearl. Xiao Zi began to bounce the lustrous pearl, smiling, and said, with senior's description, and this must be it. Dashan then stated that they could use this lustrous pearl as a gift to return to senior, and he would be overjoyed. When the time comes, the senior will reveal whether or not his mistress will be hidden. Xiao Zi smiled warmly and said, he's right, and they should hurry back. Meanwhile, Chen had just done something while standing alone and contemplating. And Chen wondered where Yi Qingwu was and when she was going to return. He thought to himself. Is she a goddess? A worker exclaimed in astonishment. The other one got delighted when he claimed it had to be Yi Qingwu. Chen then glanced back, intrigued as to who they were discussing. And when he saw Yi Qingwu approaching him in all her glory, she informed Chen that she had returned. She is still concerned that Chen is dissatisfied with her. Chen was taken aback when he saw her and flushed as he hesitantly stated her name, unsure if it really was her. Chen was still wide-eyed and blushing, and Yi Qingwu merely stared at him eagerly. He then discovered something was missing in Yi Qingwu and became enraged, but he said nothing. That was her necklace, and Chen lamented the fact that Yi Qingwu wasn't wearing the jade pendant. Chen knew Yi Qingwu was overly generous, and she knew she couldn't refuse him in front of him, so she received the jade pendant. Chen assumed that her absence of the jade pendant meant rejection. And he stated it sadly, and Yi Qingwu merely smiled, believing Chen was only proud of what she did while holding the jade cicada wings in her hand. She spoke up, telling him that she had discovered a lot of plastic items. She then asked him whether he believed they were sufficient. Telling her it's enough, and it must have been difficult for her to walk all the way here, Chen said. You may enter first, he said. He turned around and took the bag containing the jade cicada wings with no expression. Yi Qingwu was perplexed when she saw what Chen was doing, not knowing what she had done wrong. She then wondered why Mr. Chen was upset when she delivered him cloud cicada wings. She was still perplexed. Yin Shui was pouring Yi Qingwu tea in the living room, and she was shocked that it wasn't Chen. She reflected on how, in the past, Mr. Chen had always poured tea for her, as opposed to today, when he let Yin Shui do it. She was shocked, wondering whether she had done something wrong and enraged him. Chen returned when the door opened. Chen apologized to Yi Qingwu after Yin Shui bowed with respect. He stared down at her for making her wait. Unfortunately, because Yi Qingwu isn't interested in him, being honest with himself should work out better than he imagined, he thought. Chen brought out a bag and told her that this was the money for the plastic materials, and he wasn't too familiar with the market pricing, so if it was low, he asked her to tell him. Yi Qingwu became stunned and worried, informing Chen that there was no need. And Yi Qingwu got depressed as well, wondering why Mr. Chen assigned her this assignment and why he paid her money. Is it really so difficult to say in front of me that he is dissatisfied with me and wants to draw the line? She pondered. But Chen didn't listen, and he grasped her hand and gave her the money, and he later regretted being so fast and causing friction between him and Yi Qingwu. He then turned around and walked away, informing her that he was going to cook and that he would be the first to go. Yi Qingwu was taken aback when she yelled out to Mr. Chen, but he did not turn around. She was even more surprised when Chen didn't turn around or respond to her, and she wondered to herself, do you really detest seeing me? She asked herself. Chen began to run, heartbroken from what he perceived to be a rejection, and Yi Qingwu followed from behind, heartbroken as well, believing Chen hates her, and they both thought, whatever, let's not force it. Every chapter seems to exacerbate the misunderstanding. Anyway, near the nameless mountain foot, Yi Qingwu, Qin Yin, and Yi Jinghong were conversing, and she thought Yi Jinghong understood what master meant after hearing what she said. Qin Yin tried to console Yi Qingwu, who was crying. Yi Jinghong stated that he offered her the jade pendant and a tremendous opportunity, but we couldn't see through it since they were lacking. It is understandable that he is irritated when we are late in completing the assignment. Yi Qingwu stopped crying after hearing what her father said and replied, "What father means is that I can return to Mr. Chen's side," she stated. Yi Qingwu had a hopeful expression on her face, which surprised Qin Yin. Yi Jinghong agreed, adding, certainly, but she needs to go back with Qin Potion first and figure out the significance of the handkerchief together, and then they would naturally return. Both Yi Qingwu and Qin Yin said they understand while they were going away. Qin Yin informed Yi Qingwu that she was really envious of her for deciphering the significance of the handkerchief. "The master saw me as an outcast," she reasoned. Yi Qingwu responded that it's the lives of both sisters. Why is it so depressing? She discovered after a minute or two that she had unintentionally left the colorful jade silkworm at the unnamed mountain. In the unnamed mountain view spot, Chen thought Yi Qingwu looked great today. He began to wonder if she may have been valued and respected by the sect. And he sighed in grief as he remembered how lovely Yi Qingwu looked in her new attire. But a split second later, he spit out the stick in his mouth and became even more resolute, declaring Yi Qingwu's future as infinite and he can't give up. He pushed himself. He stood up and told himself that even if he couldn't cultivate, he had to be the best of all mortals, work hard, make money, and become the world's richest man. The vibrant silkworm simply stared at him, in the same mountain. A Chinese white dragon gazed down on the mountain. We may finally learn the story of the skinny horse since he is a dragon. Anyway, the Chinese white dragon converted into her human form, and she said, "I found it." This was the dragon race's fourth princess. She then noticed Xiao Bai, the bird Xiao Wu, and the ant doing something to the horse that neither she nor I can explain. She then grew outraged. That her third brother, the noble prince divine young dragon. How can a lonely beast like Xiao Bai step on his head? Before she could run over there and beat them all up, she came to a halt, her eyes widening in shock as she observed something. She witnessed the actual form of the divine wolf's dog, Sha Wu, the burning sun, crow, and the old demonic ant. And she immediately came to a halt, questioning herself. Why did they become mortal beings and traverse the world? When she turned around, she was even more perplexed and surprised. And she watched the people at work and the chi around them as she exclaimed that even the road workers were professionals. She said in disbelief, and the ones with the lowest cultivation are all at the pinnacle of soul martial arts, just like her. When she noticed this, she flew into the bushes swiftly to hide and see what was going on. While she was in the bushes, she grumbled angrily that she couldn't save her third brother with her current powers, and she claimed that the dragon robe she was wearing can conceal her aura and presence, making it ideal for spying and scouting. Whoever dared to bully my third brother will pay the full price, she thought as she stared. She spotted the emperor and empress pulling an ox to Chen's residence when she looked to the side. And the dragon Ao Bei was taken aback when she realized this was the young master of the Azure Ox clan. So it appears that another master, the same as the skinny horse, is on his way to Chen's home. I'm curious if he'll go insane and become completely devoted to Chen. Oh, and here was an Azure Ox that transformed into a regular ox. Anyway, the bull was sweating as he struggled to escape the people who had kidnapped him. As the emperor and empress struggled to move the bull, Xiao Zi called out to her mother and father. The emperor and empress whirled around, stunned, and the empress mumbled that she had the audacity to ride Senior's mount. Xiao Zi approached them and told her mother and father that Chen had instructed her to ride it. The empress' eyes were filled with pride, and she wondered if Chen thought she was valuable. The emperor chuckled gleefully, saying that they had captured an azure bull from the infinite sea, and that now the three of us could be useful to the senior. It's more like they kidnapped him, and the ox stared at Xiao Zi, certain that they did. And Da Shan grinned and said the master has sentiments for the great mistress. The words, like, and, value, are insufficient to describe it. The empress smiled and inquired of her daughter whether the senior had feelings for her. Xiao Zi blushed and told her mother that, while senior has yet to announce it, what Da Shan said is correct. With a smile, she said, and her mother held her hand. The emperor was wide-eyed, declaring that as long as he gives senior the basketball, he will declare her to be his mistress. The Empress smiled, and Xiao Zi smiled back, agreeing. The ox thought to himself, what a family of clowns. They believe such a casual word could have such a profound significance. Finally, we discovered someone who is truly normal. Let's hope he doesn't go insane like the others. The ox kept thinking to himself that he had to see for himself what the powerhouse from Earth would be like. When they came, the ox saw the dragon vine, telling him to die, and he was stunned, sweating bullets. In his head, he yelled that this location was home to the mythical 5 elemental spiritual gatherings, and Xiao Zi called out to Chen, who turned to face them. When Chen noticed what Xiao Zi was doing, he sighed and wondered, how could she ride Da Shan while her parents were walking? Chen smiled as he noticed the Empress and Emperor had arrived. Xiao Zi then spoke, informing Chen that she had returned. Chen, on the other hand, ignored her and went to her parents, questioning what had brought them here. And why are they carrying an ox? The former emperor responded, saying he was so nice to Xiao Zi that they came to thank him, and this ox is a tribute of gratitude. Chen welcomed them in, telling them to come in for a cup of tea and to leave the ox there, and someone will lead it elsewhere later, while disregarding Xiao Zi. And Xiao Zi wondered, why did Senior purposefully ignore me? She thought to herself. While all of this is going on, Ao Bei is listening to what they're saying and notices that they're being respectful to Chen, which leads her to believe that this must be the powerhouse hiding his powers. She assumed she couldn't perceive his great strength because she was too weak to do it. She then hurried out of there as swiftly as she could. She suggested to herself that she contact the elder for assistance in saving her third brother there. Inside the house, Chen told the emperor that since the two of them had arrived, was there anything they needed assistance with? As he served tea for the previous emperor, he inquired. While sipping his tea, the emperor grew reflective. Chen was waiting for the emperor to tell him what he wanted. The emperor and empress, on the other hand, noticed Chen ignoring Xiao Zi and both stared at her, worrying about her not knowing what had transpired. When Xiao Zi noticed her parents looking at her, she knew they were thinking positively, and she wondered to herself, could it be that I was the only one riding, while they walked? The previous emperor became nervous, but he kept speaking, informing Chen that they had come to work for him. What? I'm not surprised any longer. The emperor wishes to work for Chen. Anyway, Chen simply smiled and said, no problem, and that they must rest first, then go to the courtyard and find Yi Jinghong to offer him some work. The previous emperor lifted his hand and laughed nervously, assuring him that everything was great and that they would be there right away. The previous emperor and empress politely bowed for their master, and the previous emperor thanked him, while the empress said it was an honor to serve for him. Chen only thought to himself, what a rustic couple, and he decided that he had to help them. Xiao Zi softly called out to Chen, who turned around to face her. With a blush on her face, she told him that this was for him. Chen was taken aback by the fact that this was a basketball, and he questioned himself. How can there be a basketball? He was perplexed as to how basketball could exist in the Shenwu continent. Chen placed the unusual basketball on the table and informed Xiao Zi that the flowers, plants, and trees in the yard did not require daily watering. Chen instructed her that starting today, she would follow Yi Jinghong, and that he would give her the assignment, and she would execute it. Xiao Zi believes Chen intends to depose her as the great mistress of watering the mountains and rivers and reduce her to the status of a mere follower of Yi Jinghong. She was taken aback, believing she was no longer the great mistress. Xiao Zi then asked why, as she was shivering and about to fall into tears. Chen simply averted his gaze, having missed the fact that Xiao Zi was going to cry. He just told her that she and Yin Shui would have to live in the yard, which was inconvenient, so she could simply move in with her parents. Chen went with a bright smile on his face, believing that if her family lived together, their problem would be addressed swiftly. He mistakenly felt he was so clever doing this. Xiao Zi crouched down and wept quietly. Xiao Zi sobbed even more, and her mother consoled her in order to make her feel better. The empress told Yi Jinghong that Chen had no intention of making Xiao Zi his mistress. She then wondered how this could have changed. Yi Jinghong replied, looking down, telling her that they were nothing more than pawns for the senior, and that showing their emotions was blasphemy. He explained why the senior demoted her from the courtyard. Xiao Zi hugged her mother and told Yi Jinghong that the master had asked her to irrigate the mountains and rivers and nurture living beings. Isn't that all the mistress is qualified to do? She inquired. Yi Jinghong stared at her, heartbroken, and told her she was simply a commander on her way to conquering the world. "Do you understand?" he inquired. He explained that she had misinterpreted Chen's meaning. She wiped her tears and asked, "If that's the case, why is the senior asking me about a love gift?" she inquired. Xiaoqi stood out at that point, informing her that the senior wishes to personally experience everything that regular people do, like as getting married and sipping a Coke. "He simply asked you not because he likes you," she explained. Yi Jinghong said, "That's right, senior, he gave you a water pond so you could work." Yi Jinghong continued to inform her that who would believe that a watering pot would be a confession item. Finally, Xiao Zi sniffled, realizing that everything was simply in her head. Yi Jinghong approached Xiaoqi in the staff dormitory corridor and stated, "Miss ID, I would like to question you about something," he said. Xiaoqi then informed him that he might address her as Xiaoqi, and she smiled and said that she would be a fan like him from now on. Yi Jinghong smiled and said, "Okay." He then told her that the senior wants to be like everyone else, talking about marriage and children. He interrogates her on what she meant by saying. Xiaoqi scratched her cheek and smiled awkwardly. She groaned and told him that she didn't know if Xiao Zi still had a chance. Both of them fell silent after that, and they both assumed that if senior truly meant it, he would remind them, so they will just wait until the moment arises. Yi Jinghong pondered which girl senior would like. Whether he likes people, or perhaps spirits. He doubted himself. Chen tilled the ground with a hoe and instructed his men to till the ground first, then add the seed. The seeds themselves were shining green, but Chen didn't notice since he imagined they were ordinary seeds that couldn't glow. Chen knew they were more exceptional than ordinary seeds, but he didn't know how much more special. Every worker who saw them, however, was taken aback. He then instructed them to add water once they were finished. After he finished teaching them, he informed them that's how you increase germination. He stated. Everyone applauded for him because they were impressed by what he had accomplished. As the god of agriculture, Chen possessed this ability. When the workers began to work, they noticed a green glow and were astounded to feel the spiritual force oozing out. The other told him to water it right away. The people Yi Jinghong hired were such hard workers after Chen showed them how to till the ground. They rushed to perform their chores as fast as possible, he thought. When the workers were working, there was a green aura throughout the field, however, Chen was the only one who did not feel it. Only the workers were aware of it, and it inspired them to work even harder. Chen recalls that when he was given the title of God of Agriculture, the system gave him the seeds, and it's almost gone in the blink of an eye. He noticed Yi Jinghong working harder than anybody else, and Chen reflected on how Yi Jinghong was the courtyard's job manager, yet he still does everything himself. He smiled, thinking how nice everyone was and how it was a shame he wasn't destined to be with Yi Qingwu. As he stated this, he sighed. While Chen was contemplating, he saw his hoe was rusty. When he was free, he resolved to offer him a new hoe. Chen immediately realized that the fertile soil on this mountain was limited, and that if he wanted to be affluent, he would have to start working on the side. But I'm not sure what I should do, Chen thought to himself. And he noticed Xiaoqi alone, staring at something. Chen approached her and casually inquired as to what she was doing. Xiaoqi glanced at him and said, "There's a beautiful bug over here," and she pointed to the bug, which was the colorful silkworm, and the bug just stood there, staring at Chen. Chen took a closer look at the silkworm and corrected her, assuring her that it was indeed a silkworm. He then inquired of Xiaoqi as to where it came from. Xiaoqi responded, saying she didn't realize it was there until she found it. Chen wondered if it can spin silk. Chen concentrated his attention on it. The silkworm shivered in fear. The silkworm noticed that the senior did not have the appearance of a martial artist. But his hand's pressure is immobilizing me. He was thinking this as he saw Chen raise his hand and unleash a large amount of power, and a silkworm thought that if master didn't let me go, I wouldn't be able to escape, he mumbled, fearful of the pressure Chen was emitting from his palm. And Xiaoqi piped out, encouraging her brother to take a look. It's silk spitting. Chen laughed enthusiastically and touched the silk, adding that this silkworm's slick yield isn't awful, and that if he made a suit out of it, it would be quite popular. And as Qin Potion was tending to the water, he cast a glance at him. The silkworm was still terrified, but he was surprised to find his rainbow cloud silk, a world treasure, in his fingers. He couldn't figure out how he could easily separate it with 2 fingers. Chen turned around and called for Qin Potion. When Qin Potion turned around, he asked, "What's the matter?" Chen pondered if he'd ever seen a silkworm like this before, informing him of his desire to mass breed it. Qin Potion rubbed the back of his head and he responded, telling him that's the colorful jade silkworm. It's a type of jade silkworm, but it's unusual, and regular jade silkworms are plentiful. Although the silkworm's quality will not be as valuable as the colorful jade silkworm's silk, he believes it is still valuable. Chen replied, I see. He then apologized for bothering him and told him to go get some jade silkworm back. Qin Potion was perplexed as to why he was apologizing to him for simply questioning him and commanding him to do things. Chen then urged him to come with him and that he would give him money first. Chen then handed the silkworm across to Xiaoqi, who stretched out to take it. While Chen and Qin Potion left, Xiaoqi placed the silkworm on a leaf and informed the baby silkworm to grow quickly. The silkworm began to feed, and as it did so, he thought to himself how delicious this was, and how each leaf was like an elixir. It's no surprise that the Saintess murdered the old man. He realized it was Master's plan to save his tribe. Qin Yin and Yi Qingwu were crying and using the same handkerchief that Chen had given them, and Qing Yin spoke up, telling Yi Qingwu that she couldn't understand Senior's interpretation of the handkerchief and how he was ignoring her. Yi Qingwu said the lives of his two sisters is really hard. Qin Potion burst into the house, screaming to Qing Yin and Yi Qingwu that Senior had discovered a jade silkworm. He asked for assistance in locating more. Yi Qingwu was surprised and asked him loudly why Senior was seeking for the silkworm and if there was a cause. Could the Senior be dissatisfied with me since he instructed me to get the jade cicada wings from the first of disillusionment, but his genuine intention was to retrieve the jade cicada wings, she wondered? Yi Jinghong began to think aloud, stating that Senior is hunting for jade silkworms due to their slick, and silk is required for waving, and waving requires. Both Yi Jinghong and Qin Potion said at the same time, women. Yi Jinghong blushed with humiliation since he thought Chen had assigned him an easy duty, but it turned out that his true intention for him was to find a female pawn. Qing Potion went on to say that they are both pawns and that they didn't recognize it sooner. When Yi Qingwu heard this, she had an idea, telling everyone that there was a palace of weaving women hundreds of kilometers away from the forest of disillusionment, and all of them are females who utilize weaving for the entire Taoist. And she assumed Chen was referring to that location. Qing Potion was determined to visit the palace, so he spoke out, instructing Yi Jinghong to escort him to this weaving palace. Yi Jinghong stopped him and told him to bring Qin Yin and Yi Qingwu with him to redeem themselves. When Yi Qingwu heard this, she was happy that her father was looking out for her. Yi Jinghong was aware that Chen had previously inquired of Xiao Zi about marrying and having children. He now dispatched Qing Potion to find female pawns. Qing Potion told Yi Qingwu, let's go. And Yi Jinghong chose to help Yi Qingwu win Chen's love, to alleviate her lovesickness. A portal appeared in another location, and a swarm of demonic animals emerged from it, and many of them began to change. When they had finished transforming, the commander who stood in front of them all muttered grimly, the master said they should gather here. The leader was a little dissatisfied, and he stated that the mountain has nothing exceptional to offer, so why would he stay there? Another demonic sect member raged that the black ghost of a terrifying nation had been slaughtered, and it's apparent that someone is attempting to rule the planet before us, he stated. And he surmised that he might be on the mountain. That would be perfect, the leader said darkly. The evil leader grins and declares, today, we will catch them all at once. Xiaoqi, Xiao Bai, and Xiao Wu were salivating with delight at seeing something so wonderful, and Xiao Wu's face is so amusing that I don't know what to say. Chen warned Xiaoqi not to be hungry, and that eating it when it was uncooked might give her diarrhea, but Xiaoqi didn't listen and drooled even more. But after a split second, she returned to reality, and Xiaoqi informed Xiao Bai of an extraordinary shift. Outside the courtyard there was a dark cloud in the sky, and Yi Jinghong, Xiao Zi, Yin Shui, and the rest of Chen's army were preparing to protect the nameless mountain from those who wished to attack it. Yin Shui was surprised to see so many experts assembled, and the condensed aura had turned into dark clouds. Yi Jinghong turned around and inspired Chen's army by telling them about such a brutal killing. They are not good people, and those who follow me are from the Zuxian Palace. We must not let those demonic bastards interrupt the master eating barbecue, he said. And Chen's army applauded, and everyone was fired up to fight for their master. And they all said, yes, sir. They all flew towards the demonic cult, shouting, "Fight for the master, defeat the wicked cult." In the outer sky area of the nameless mountain, everyone stood there with their auras covering their bodies, and Yi Jinghong yelled, "How dare you bastards disturb master's barbecue? What a heinous crime! Return while you can," Yi Jinghong advised. The demonic leader responded by asking him to summon his master and die together. As he prepared to assault him, he smiled darkly and he prepared himself to attack. He then used his power to attack, and Yi Jinghong coughed up blood as a result of the blow. When Yi Jinghong watched everyone being attacked, he heard someone yell for him to help. He wondered if master would stand by and watch them die. Xiao Zi choked and thought to herself, the master has given them a great opportunity, but they can't even deal with invading enemies, so what qualifications do they have to ask the master for help? She then struggled to call for Yi Jinghong to help her. But Yi Jinghong did nothing. He merely looked down, sad, and thought to himself, why should they rely on master to take action when they have so much strength? Meanwhile, inside the courtyard, Xiao Bai raised his head and asked, why isn't the master assisting them? In master's eyes, all living creatures are ants, said Xiaoqi. She then questioned him, asking if he believes Chen is concerned about the lives of ants. However, as the battle and death were going on around him, Chen was unconcerned. He just spiced meat gleefully and told Xiaoqi that she may eat it immediately. He noticed something got up his nose after a second and tried to get it out, but he couldn't. His body instinctively prepared to sneeze. And he did exactly that, blowing away all the dark clouds with a single sneeze with a fraction of his power. Chen's army sensed that fraction of strength, and Yi Jinghong was perplexed as he looked at the leader of the demonic sect, who was surprised to see Chen's power erase him and his army from existence. While being obliterated from existence, the demonic cult's leader questioned whether this was Chen's goal all along. Yi Jinghong, Xiao Zi, and Yin Shui were all shocked and horrified, and they all wondered what horrible realm he had reached. Somewhere in the sky, the dragon Ao Bei and the other dragons who were present were horrified by what had occurred, and Ao Bei asked his brother if he now believed her. Fear was making the red-headed dragon sweat bullets. Can father even tell them that he killed hundreds of people with a sneeze? He inquired. Ao Dong was the dragon clan's prince. Ao Nan, the dragon clan's second prince, was the other. And the dragon prince, Ao Nan, was also terrified. And Ao Bei was perplexed as to why her brothers were so terrified. The redhead dragon grabbed Ao Bei and yelled that they needed to hurry because they would be condemned if they were mistaken for the evil cult. Ao Bei was wide-eyed and begged her brother to wait, but he refused. Dragonvine was taken aback because this was the first time he had witnessed his master murder someone, and he had no idea the master could make heaven and earth pale simply by remaining motionless. He then inquired to the Elder Tree whether he can see the realm of Master. Elder Tree considered it, and he recognized that even though Master had taken action, he couldn't see it. The slender horse, Xiao Bai, Xiao Wu, and Xiaoqi all agreed that this demonstrated that Master's strength was only a fraction of his power. The ox was also astonished and afraid, and he told himself that this thigh had to bear it. In the palace of Zuxian, Chen's power blew out the walls of the Zuxian palace, shattering something on the wall. And this guy who had just stood up said that the Soul Jade tablet had cracked at the same time, and he wondered, could someone have murdered them all with one hit? The other guy sat there patiently, but he was surprised that the islands of the Eastern Sea were the weakest areas of the Shenwu continent, and he questioned it as well. How can such a person exist? The Demon Lord spoke, explaining that while the islands of the Eastern Sea are currently feeble, they are foretold to be the key to major changes in the world. Both of the mystery men who were listening were taken aback, but the Demon King proceeded to speak, telling them that they had created the Zuxian Temple in preparation to conquer the islands of the Eastern Sea. I didn't anticipate them to be someone else, he explained. He told them he was irresponsible, and he told Baihu, the brown-haired guy, and Suzuku, the guy with a mask, that they were now commanding commanders, and he had to retake the Eastern Sea Island for the Zuxian Palace. They both agreed and bowed. The man who stated he would assist Chen in locating the traffickers led him to Sun Wufang, the leader of the Sun family. Da Zhuang responded, saying that Chen had instructed them to find the traffickers. He then inquired as to whether or not he had located them. Sun Wufang instructed him that they should first discuss his story, as his finger with a golden aura reached out to his brow. And when Da Zhuang saw this, he was startled that this guy was still trying to fool him, claiming that he wasn't from the Sun family, but the elderly man didn't stop reaching out to his brow. And when he touched his brow, his eyes widened in surprise. He began to recall how he was born as ordinary spirit trash, and he was being held by his parents. And how his own clan abandoning him on the river. Finally, after recalling his past, his body gleamed gold when he was discovered by strangers who pulled him out of the river. Sun Wufang explained that he fused his Marians with martial spirits and asked whether he believed they were lying to him. Da Zhuang was taken aback when he realized he was a member of the Duzhan monkey clan. Da Zhuang was back to normal. He went on to say, Shaoqi is a spiritual jade rabbit. He then inquired, what about the human traffickers Chen mentioned? Sun Wufang said that this is likewise related to the spiritual Jade Rabbit clan's secret. Sun Wufang understands that the spiritual Jade Rabbit is a descendant of the old colorful mythological beast Jade Rabbit, which is separated into male and female meridian, with male meridian exclusively producing male rabbits and female meridian producing both male and female rabbits. Gong Ling Yuan, the male meridian clan leader, offered a proposal to resurrect the first ancestor 3,000 years ago. In order for this plan to work, the mother had to be sacrificed. And to Shaoqi's mother's generation, Tong Dan, who refused to be sacrificed and made delectable claims like the unachievable dream of the first ancestor, I'll exceed the first ancestor, she stated. Gong Ling Yuan was enraged by this behavior, which he ruined her mother, Meridian. Tong Dan fled with Shaoqi but was assassinated on the way. So that's why Shaoqi was crying, and why Yi Qingwu discovered her in the woods. Da Zhuang said what they had been waiting for, and Shaoqi is now Chen's younger sister, so we must revenge Shaoqi, he stated. Sun Wufang stated that the spiritual rabbit is one of the most powerful monsters in the eastern region and should not be taken lightly. He advised them to question Chen about whether he intends to kill the male Meridian clan or make a deal with the Gong Ling Yuan. Da Zhuang agreed and said that they needed to go right away. In the reception rooms, Sun Wufang approached Chen and informed him that he had discovered the identity of the human traffickers. He said that they are quite potent and can be found anywhere. We can concentrate on catching them if we understand their qualities. Shaoqi began to cry, and Chen consoled her by encouraging her not to cry and to try to recall what they looked like. Shaoqi informed him she recalled, and it was the violent, ugly old guy named Jing Ling Yuan who murdered her mother. Chen was enraged after hearing this, and he remembered her telling him about her mother's death, but he didn't expect the human traffickers to kill her. While he was thinking in his head, his hair began to move erratically, demonstrating how sincerely upset he was right now. His eyes grew steely, and he spoke quietly, asking Sun Wufang if he had discovered him. Sun Wufang respectfully told Chen that he had already located him. When he heard that, a blue aura engulfed him, and he informed him he'd accompany him to slay the beast with his own 2 hands. He was not aware that he was emitting such a big amount of power, but everyone else in the room noticed it. He then turned around and thought to himself, I can't cultivate, and I can't fight you with a sword, but I have to be chivalrous, and he resolved to fight today. But he would get rid of evil and encourage good, he thought as his eyes glowed and his aura increased. Sun Wufang, Da Zhuang, and the other person were astounded to see his actual might explode into the sky and lightning strike the entire earth. First, the lightning struck Qingxi town, right on Yan Xiao Feng's sword. He was astounded to find lightning enveloping his sword. On Monster Island, lightning struck a tree, and he felt the tremendous power. And the third bolt of lightning struck the soldiers of the Zuxian palace, prompting someone to ask, "What's this?" And someone exclaimed, "How terrifying!" And Bahu, who had his jaws wide in surprise, and Suzuku, who was also surprised, asked Bahu what that was. In the Dragon Palace, the old man dragon sensed it as well, and he realized that heaven and earth were shifting. He spoke as if he knew something. He noticed the lightning when he looked outdoors, beneath the water. He thought to himself, it has begun. Chen grinned and added that this is his most satisfied sword that he had forged, and that if it could be used, he thought it would be used for decoration. He informed them that he didn't think the day would ever come. He touched the blade with his finger, not realizing that his finger was encircled by qi. He then turned around. He observed Sun Wufang and Da Zhuang kneeling on the ground and shaking in dread, and even Shaoqi, who pretended to sit calmly but was shaking in fear, and he was shocked, so he exclaimed, "What's this?" Sun Wufang and Da Zhuang stood up, and the old man said that it was nothing and that he was only old. Why does he have to personally deal with human traffickers? The old guy asked. Why don't you hand it over to us? Da Zhuang consented quietly, still fearful of Chen's might. The old man reasoned that killing Gong Yuan Lian was the entire family's responsibility. Would doing it personally by the master render them incompetent? Shaoqi was equally concerned and informed him he didn't want him to put his life in danger. Chen grew depressed as he noticed her concern in her eyes. Chen understood he wasn't a martial artist, and he assumed everyone was scared he wouldn't be useful when he went there. Forget it. Why should he worry Shaoqi? He then decided to give Da Zhuang his weapon. He instructed him to take the sword and use it to subjugate them and express his rage. Da Zhuang was wide-eyed and said, I understand. After Chen handed over the sword to Da Zhuang, Shaoqi informed his brother that this guy was her mother's killer and his adversary, and she wished to exact personal vengeance. Sun Wufang responded to Chen by assuring him that he would bring Shaoqi back safely. Chen directed them to return as soon as possible and to safeguard Shaoqi at all costs. He ordered them without even knowing it. And Chen reflected that he had not expected Shaoqi to harbor such anger at such a young age. He then resolved to spend more time with her and teach her certain things in the future. Outside the courtyard, Chen warned Shaoqi to be cautious, but Da Zhuang assured him that they would defend Shaoqi at all cost. Shaoqi just said goodbye to her brother. Chen smiled inwardly, thinking that Shaoqi's living arrangements should be enhanced in comparison to the children on Earth. Shaoqi's living conditions are far too easy, he reasoned. He then summoned the Empress. He then inquired as to whether the ox she had brought was male or female. The Empress was at a loss for words. She was perplexed, wondering whether the master didn't know the gender of the prince of the Azure Ox. She did, however, note that he expressly asked her. Is there a deeper meaning? She wondered. Is it just me or everyone is trying to find a deeper meaning to every word Chen is telling them? Chen said loudly that if it's a female ox, he'll be able to offer Shaoqi milk every day, picturing Shaoqi joyously drinking milk. And the bull exclaimed, the master mentioned me. The skinny horse only stared at him, wide-eyed in surprise, and he was perplexed, seeing the ox go insane just hearing Chen talk about him. And the ox reminded himself that he was simply an animal. How will he finish his master's mission? His eyes bulged and he got that wild face when he was contemplating this. That's right, it's official. The ox has finally lost his mind. Anyway, the ox then looked at the horse and said to him, did you heard that? It's time for me to shine, he said. The skinny horse chuckled, informing him that he'd heard the master wanted a female ox, not a male, and that he wouldn't be able to make his debut in this lifetime. The ox, on the other hand, was adamant. He didn't care what he said, and he yelled that since this was master's assignment, he would complete it. He then exclaimed loudly that he would transform into a female ox, and where the bird is, it began to alter. You can see right, of course you can anyway. It shined, and a surge of strength poured out of him, and the skinny horse was stunned at what he was attempting, and the ox summoned his sword to help change into a female ox faster. And as he shouted that he would be beneficial, his voice changed and began to sound like a woman's voice. When Chen and Empress heard the rumbling, Chen inquired, what is that noise? Even if he summoned his sword from the palace, the thin horse yelled that he was insane. He will be a yin-yang ox at most. The skinny horse was implying that the ox would have both genders. The ox replied, saying that the strongest soul in the Radish-Black Ox clan is known as the Great Law of Yin-Yang of Reversal. The ox then looked at him, and when he did, she appeared like a female ox. If anyone is curious about how this is feasible, just remember that it contains both production organs. Chen dashed to the ox and slender horse, and when he arrived, he yelled what had happened. When he spotted the ox on the ground, he went to the skinny horse and punched him in the head, yelling at him about why he bullied the female ox. The skinny horse felt wronged as he was being punched. Chen instructed Empress Ong Sog to have someone construct another cow pen, and she would take care of the ox. The Empress Ong Sog said no problem, bewildered about when the male ox became a female ox. The ox looked at him and replied, "Ha, little dragon, so what if you are a mythical beast, and if you're not needed as a male, just be a female?" The skinny horse was stunned and didn't say anything. He bowed and stated that he was blind to her grandeur and that she was incredibly cool. Chen informed Yi Jinghong that this vibrant jade silkworm weaves slick every day, and its productivity is astounding. Yi Jinghong simply observed Chen, who was staring at the jade silkworm. Chen then asked whether he might gather a group of workers to begin work on the silkworm breeder and textile factory. Chen then looked up, telling him that a brewery and horse track were almost ready to begin building as well. Yi Jinghong said, "No problem." Yi Jinghong happily thought to himself that the master's hidden duty assigned to Qin Potion was actually to recruit female pawns who could weave. "I was correct," he said. While Yi Jinghong was thinking to himself, the skinny horse was sweating bullets, as his eyes dilated in surprise, and he questioned himself when he heard what Chen stated about the horse track. He wondered if this meant the master wanted to take control of the dragon clan. He immediately turned into his real dragon form and grinned, exclaiming, "Master, you have finally assigned me a duty." Ha 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 ha, the dragon laughed. Empress Ong Sog was taken aback when she saw a dragon, but she continued to collect milk from the female ox. In the palace of the weaving maids, Qing Potion, Yi Qingwu, and Qin Yin stood in front of the weaving maid palace's gates. Women were floating towards them, and the one in front spoke up, telling them that they are honored by their presence. She then inquired as to whether they required assistance. This was Chen Huang, the waving maiden palace young mistress. Yi Qingwu bowed and said she had a meeting with the lord of their palace. Chen Huang gave them an uneasy smile and instructed them to follow her. Chen Huang reflected on Yi Qingwu's cultivation, which she couldn't witness. Yi Qingwu was served tea by a maiden, and she sat in the weaving maiden palace living room like a proud, independent woman, graceful like a fairy. In astonishment, the other woman who was talking to Chen Huang told her that Yi Qingwu is unbeatable. Chen Huang was surprised that even her master couldn't perceive her cultivation, and she wondered why such a powerful person would come to their palace. Her master responded, saying she was only concerned if they were aggressive. She then approached Yi Qingwu, but she informed Chen Huang that she had no idea Ms. Yi Qingwu would be coming. "What is your purpose for being here?" she inquired of Yi Qingwu. Mei Qian Shui was the weaving maiden palace master. Yi Qingwu informed her that the weaving maiden palace had entered Taoism through weaving. "It's very remarkable to use heaven and earth as threads and the body as the loom." Mei Qian Shui replied, "How can we accept Ms. Yi Qingwu's erroneous praises?" She added that if there is anything they can do for her, she should ask. She then told her she would not stop beating around the bushes, explaining that they were there to recruit pawns for a hidden expert from the planet called Earth. She smiled and informed her that she must be upset at the prospect of becoming a pawn, but it is a tremendous fortune to be a pawn for the master. Chen Huang screamed angrily, stating that was preposterous, that their weaving maiden palace had existed for hundreds of years, that they had their own Dao fruit, and that they didn't need such fortune. Maiden Palace Master Mei Qian Shui calmly instructed her not to be rude. Yi Qingwu did not even bother to look at Chen Huang. Instead, she turned her gaze to the palace master, Mei Qian Shui, and narrowed her eyes, asking her, "What does she see her as?" Mei Qian Shui began to speak, but her nerves caused her to respond, telling her that her talent is peerless, devastatingly beautiful, and her cultivation is superior to hers, she stated. Yi Qingwu then unleashed her power, almost like a Super Saiyan. Anyway, Chen Huang and the palace master, Mei Qian Shui, were taken aback by her strength. All the power was gone when she clapped her hands. She reminded her that even if she is a discarded piece by the master, for them to be recognized by the master is a huge honor. "So, what's your response?" she inquired. Chen Huang and Mei Qian Shui both kneeled in surrender, and Mei Qian Shui informed her that they were willing to submit to the master. Chen Huang remained silent because she was depressed. Mei Qian Shui went on to add that they will diligently serve the Lord. In the palace of Zhu Xian, Baihu was on his knees, telling his master that these subordinates were ineffective. Then he pleaded, "Please punish us." The demon lord told them to take it easy, and he doesn't blame them because he can feel the sword energy from here, the demon lord responded. And with such a strong aura, 8 out of 10 elite soldiers. What should they do? Baihu wondered. "Fear not," he continued, "as long as we uncover the demon clan's prize, the heavenly demon's Chinese loot, and even if it's an elite soldier, they'll be gone with a single hit," he stated. The demon king went on to add that not long after he left the scouts, they reported that they had sensed the Chinese aura of the heavenly demon. Baihu clenched his teeth and yelled, "Warren, storm ocean." The demon lord tapped Baihu on the shoulder and informed him that the dragon clan was also present at the Roaring Storm Ocean. Back on the nameless mountain, Chen was cutting grass in the unnamed mountain when Yi Jinghong called out to him, telling him that the first batch of veggies in the greenhouse had already matured. Chen was surprised at how quickly they finished. "Behold," Yi Jinghong exclaimed, pointing at the grass. And his other men laid the grass, and Yi Jinghong reflected to himself that, as expected of the immortal seeds given by the master, they all grew into 9th grade spiritual herbs. Each one was priceless, he added. Chen's eyes widened as he touched the grass to study it. He informed Yi Jinghong that this was not correct. Yi Jinghong inquired quietly, wanting to know what he had done wrong. Chen reasoned that the seeds awarded by the system were superior to those found on Earth, yet green onions should not be this delicate. Yi Jinghong began to sweat nervously and inquired, "What wasn't quite right? Please inform me, Mr. Chen, so I can tell them to improve it," he said. Chen invited him to accompany him to his private plot, where he would explain everything in detail. Chen came at his personal plot. Yi Jinghong and the other workers were astounded to see the royal herbs, each of which was a royal herb. Chen used his skill as the god of agriculture once again. He then explained that before planting the seeds, a foundation fertilizer must be applied. After it germinates, add another scoop of fertilizer along with the equal amount of compost on the side. He goes on to say not to overwater it and to only water it when it's dry. This will keep it plump and fresh. "So that's how it's done." "Amazing," all the workers said, and Yi Jinghong was amazed as well. Chen inquired as to whether the textile mill had been completed. Yi Jinghong said yes it is, and promised to join him to inspect it to see what further needed to be added. "I'm entering the nation of women," exclaimed Chen, in shock. In the textile mill nation, Chen arrived and noticed Qing Potion and all the women. Chen then seized Qing Potion and questioned him about who they were. Qing Potion replied that these were the weaving maidens he had hired. Chen was shocked, as he stated, "Weaving maidens?" Qing Potion raised his voice. "You see, they even brought their looms with them. They will not let you down," he assured. Chen laughed, explaining that the textile mill had just finished building today and that he had already assisted him in recruiting some weaving maidens. "Qin Potion, you know me far too well." Qin Potion chuckled, flattered by Chen's compliment. Yi Jinghong told him that mounting was thanks to him. Qin Potion simply smiled and said nothing. Chen then directed Yi Jinghong to organize the transportation of silkworms to the farm base. The weaving maiden will be stationed and living in the textile mill from now on. Yi Jinghong immediately agreed, pleased that his lord was directing him around. Chen laughed, telling Yi Jinghong and Qin Potion that he could now relax. He remarked, "I'll be going for breakfast now," and the maidens were taken aback by what they saw in the basket. Chen Huang inquired of her master whether those were royal herbs. Her master responded, telling her she was accurate, despite the fact that their palace only housed 7th grade spiritual plants. And to think he could get so many royal herbs so easy. Qin Potion said in surprise, "An emperor's weapon." He was taken aback and impressed. He wondered if that was the emperor's weapon. "This weapon was personally created by the master just for him," Yi Jinghong said. Qin Potion considered it, and he wondered if the master was a martial emperor. Yi Jinghong asked him if he was thinking only because the master had built an emperor's weapon. "Do you believe he is the martial emperor?" Yi Jinghong told him that he witnessed the master transform an ordinary piece of steel into an emperor's weapon. Qin Potion looked down sadly. Yi Qingwu had made a significant contribution to the subduing of the Weaving Maiden Palace, but she had refused to see the master. Yi Jinghong reacted, saying that he, too, tried his hardest to say great things for Yi Qingwu to stand up for herself with tremendous achievements and have the master recognize her once more. Two people were going through the village late at night. And the two walking figures were Qin Yin and Yi Qingwu. Qin Yin examined the handkerchief, unsure what this note meant. A music sheet on an instrument. She inquired. Yi Qingwu did not respond to Qin Yin because she was thinking about Mr. Chen. They were walking when they noticed Yan Shaofeng forming his weapon. "Who is that?" Qin Yin inquired. She thought he was unusual for shaping his sword in the middle of the night. And Yi Qingwu was perplexed as to why he was here. When Yi Qingwu recognized him, she told her that his name was Yan Shaofeng. She clarified that he was the guy she previously mentioned. He was instrumental in furthering the conquest of the Fengming kingdom. Qin Yin explained to Yi Qingwu that his spiritual sense is so bad that they didn't notice it when they arrived. And Yi Qingwu said that he was already in a state of meditation. That's why he closed his eyes and saw him shape his weapon. She stated, "I'm sure Mr. Chen arranged for this training." After Yi Qingwu finished speaking, the handkerchief began to float, and they both got a golden aura surrounding them. Qin Yin, Yi Qingwu, and Yan Xiaofeng were perplexed by what was going on. And they heard a wonderful tune being performed by Chen, and Yi Qingwu smiled as she realized it was Chen. In the Nameless Peak study room, Chen was still depressed at the rejection. He reflected on how, in recent days, Yi Jinghong appeared to be attempting to bring him and Yi Qingwu together, and Chen assumed that Yi Jinghong was unaware that Yi Qingwu had tacitly rejected him. He then severed the qi-enhanced string, and a handkerchief started to fall on the ground. Chen then sang a mournful song to himself. "Where can I find someone who understands me in this world?" Qin Yin coughed up blood, and Yi Qingwu was taken aback, not knowing what was going on. Qin Yin informed her she understood, and she introduced herself as Qin Yin, with musical notes embroidered on her handkerchief. She told Yi Qingwu that the Lord clearly wants them to look for a qin. "I believe the string Chen just severed is the qin. In any case, the qin is a Chinese 7-string plucking piano." "What are you doing here?" said Yan Xiaofeng as he opened the gates. Yi Qingwu greeted him and introduced herself together with Qin Yin, informing him that Qin Yin had been hurt and asking if they might rent a room. Yan Xiaofeng agreed, informing Qin Yin that he had overheard their conversation and that Master had asked Miss Yin to find a qin. Yi Qingwu concurred. However, she emphasized that they don't know what type of qin the Master is looking for. Yan Xiaofeng then considered it and told them that Chen is a man of tremendous skill and fortune, capable of exceeding the heavens and the earth. "I'm afraid the only qin worthy of him is the legendary heaven demon Qin." Qin Yin inquired as to the location of the heavenly demon. Yan Xiao responded by saying, telling her the heavenly demon Qin is the most precious treasure of the demon clan. Unfortunately, it was destroyed during ancient warfare. The remnants of the demon clan have recently appeared near the roaring storm ocean. They're probably looking for it, he stated. Yi Qingwu then used her power to create this lovely pink blossom appear in a puff of smoke, and she told him that they had met him thanks to Chen's direction, and they would not have known the existence of the heavenly demon Qin. Qin Yin nodded faintly when Yi Qingwu said she would heal her on the way, and Yan Xiaofeng said he'd join them. All three of them went, heading to the roaring storm ocean, where the treasure would be taken by the demon clan. How will Yi Qingwu, Qin Yin, and Yan Xiaofeng deal with this enemy?
The demonic sect was in the midst of the sea, and several of them went deep beneath the sea. When they arrived at their location beneath the sea, someone noticed the weapon and was taken aback. The other individual confirmed to his comrade that the scout information was correct. His second comrade added, "The heavenly demon Qin is here." Baihu was thrilled and exclaimed, "Excellent, Your Majesty. There is hope for the demon clan's resurrection." The demon yelled for him to slow down. But before they could get any closer, the heavenly demon expelled energy. The heavenly demon Qin's power blew them away fiercely, and they all screamed in pain. Baihu coughed up blood, and he wondered what had happened. The demon lord said that the heavenly demon Qin is an emperor-grade weapon that is not simple to get. He then told him that this time he'd do it himself, simply to assist him from the sides so that he could subjugate the heavenly demon Qin. On the nameless mountain, Qin stretched after waking up from a nap, exhausted from the day's effort. When he entered the room he was heading to, someone was chopping the meat with a kitchen knife. Qin was shocked to see Qin Potion sitting here, and questioned him why he didn't go to the canteen to eat. He then asked if he came here to prepare him breakfast instead. Qin Potion greeted him and informed him that he had come to assist him because he appeared to be busy. He smiled warmly and told Qin that he thought it would make things easier for him. At first glance, you might assume Qin Potion is being thoughtful and kind. No, he is not. He heard a few days ago that Qin made a new kitchen knife, and it's been days since he returned and hasn't rewarded him, so he didn't know if he was so busy that he forgot. Qin Potion decided to take the initiative himself. Qin then examined his kitchen knife, which he found to be dull. He then questioned Qin Potion what he was doing with the blunt knife. He then took out a new knife and handed it to him, instructing him to use it instead. The old man thought Qin was giving him the kitchen knife as he shouted, "Thank you very much, Mr. Qin." The previous emperor arrived with something, assuring Qin Potion that the dumpling skin he desired was right here. When he saw his master, he froze in surprise. He then stated, perplexed, that he was awake. Qin assured him that he was in time. "Come with me. I have something to tell you." He stated to the emperor Qin Potion was lost in his own little world, clutching the kitchen knife as if it were his favorite thing in the world. The previous monarch smiled as he placed the dumpling skin on the table. And he told him he was on his way. After Qin and Zhao, the emperor, stepped outside, Qin told him he wanted to ask him about the horse market. Zhao, the emperor, replied, saying he understood. Zhao reflected on the fact that the stables were nearly complete, yet the skinny horse had yet to return. He wondered if the master wanted him to look for other horses. Okay, this actually makes me think about things. For example, if the skinny horse is a dragon, would this imply that other dragons are also horses? Anyway, Qin told him. "That's great, then would you be able to buy me about 700 or 800 horses and a carriage as well?" He asked how much he needed. Zhao was stunned, yelling in his head that Qin needed 700 to 800 horses. He began to wonder. How much does he require for that many horses? He began to tally how much money Qin had to pay for the horses, stating 20 million, no, 10 million. Or 8 million, he was only guessing. The emperor, Zhao, replied that it was roughly 5 million coppers, although he wasn't sure if he was correct. Qin considered what Zhao had stated and concluded that it was yet another large expense. However, the fruits and veggies would soon be available on the market, so I should be able to earn a profit, he reasoned. Qin spoke very nicely as he opened the door. Zhao was taken aback by the number of weapons in the room, as well as the qi he sensed emanating from them. He told Zhao to look for Yi Jinghong so he could pick up 100 people and come get the money the next morning. While Zhao was still stunned, Qin proceeded to tell him to take the rope bundle as well. And tying horses with it is better than ordinary ones. He stated the emperor was shocked to see the rope and reached out to touch it. But before he could touch it, a golden energy in the shape of a dragon roared and glared at him from the rope. The emperor Zhao was shocked and he exclaimed, "What is this? What's wrong?" Qin inquired. Zhao turned around quickly, startled, but he said, "Master, it's nothing and he's just really thoughtful." He stated. Zhao then examined the rope more thoroughly and realized it was composed of dragon vine bark. With this in his hands, he wondered, wouldn't the dragon clan be mine? Qin then thanked him and said, "How about staying for breakfast?" Zhao thanked him for his hospitality. Qin called out to Qin Potion, telling him he would make the dumplings and simply help him prepare a kettle of boiling water. The old man consented to help him prepare a boiling pot of water, and he carried the kitchen knife with him without comprehending that Qin had not commanded him to take it. He had only told him to use it. And Qin knew this, but he smiled inwardly, knowing that Qin Potion simply took his kitchen knife as his own and kept it. He responded by saying, "Whatever, it's just a kitchen knife, and I can always make a new one." In the dragon palace beneath the sea, someone shouted Patriarch Father, second uncle, and this individual swam towards them while swimming. This mystery dragon questioned why they were employing the heavenly prosperous dragon staff for protection. "Did something happen?" he inquired. When the small dragon saw that everything was good, he smiled. He bowed in respect, and now she greeted the patriarch. And the patriarch informed Xiao San that as long as he's fine. "Oh, before I go any further, let me tell you who this is. I just discovered that this is the skinny horse in human form." Xiao San, the skinny horse, instructed the patriarch to hurry and bring the expert above the spirit martial realm with him. "I've brought a great opportunity to the dragon clan," he stated. The patriarch inquired as to what opportunities. The small dragon responded, telling him that he had worked valiantly as a horse plowing for an expert from planet Earth. He went on to tell him that the expert was constructing a horse track. He exclaimed, "Everyone should follow me, we're late, and I'm afraid this opportunity will be taken by others." The more the small dragon spoke, the more enraged the patriarch became. The patriarch had had enough and demanded for him to be silenced. He unleashed a powerful blast. Xiao San was still speaking when he remarked, "We have to be first." But he was cut off by the patriarch's power blast. The elder dragon yelled at him, saying, "What he said was true. He has the dignified dragon bloodline." He asked him how he could freely submit himself to a mortal. Xiao San shouted in fear, and he informed him that Xiao Bei had also seen it, and that he should believe him. He went on to say that the house that Master had created was the spiritual collecting array from stories, and that all pets were all ancient beasts. The patriarch yelled, "Enough!" and demanded that someone arrest him. The patriarch told him that ancient monsters are alone, that it is impossible for them to coexist, and that all the things that treasured the laws of heaven and earth are only something you and Xiao Bei fell for. The little dragon yelled at him, questioning whether or not his cultivation was genuine. While he was shouting this, troops detained him and transported him to prison. The patriarch responded, informing him that he has the purest dragon blood pouring through his veins, and that no matter how quickly he cultivated it, it has nothing to do with the so-called master. He also remarked that this is a troubling season. He told him that a few days ago a dreadful sword energy appeared, so he ordered the skinny horse to remain inside the dragon palace and not leave. He informed him sharply. Xiao San yelled again, telling him that the dreadful force was from Master in the unnamed mountain peak. It isn't an illusion that the heavenly deep dragon staff has alarmed him. The grandfather insisted that the sword's energy exists, but that the so-called master cannot produce it. The old man then looked at him and told him that he should think about his time in prison. The patriarch squinted his brows and informed another elder that the demon clan had recently arrived in the roaring storm ocean. "I'm afraid this has something to do with the changing of heaven and earth," he remarked. He told the old man that he is going to seclusion to cultivate for reinsurance. He then told himself that once he was finished, he would personally make Aoshi take him to the nameless mountain summit and shatter their illusions. Someone flew at breakneck speed in the middle of the sea, fleeing from something. The person flying in the middle of the water called out to the Golden Turtle clan, "Just wait. I Xuanwu would definitely return for vengeance," he added angrily. While Xuanwu was flying in the opposite direction, Zhao, the emperor, was flying towards the dragon palace. And he yelled for the entire dragon clan to surrender and come out now. If they ignore him, there will be consequences, he warned, releasing his new strength and demonstrating his seriousness about his threat. Suddenly, a dragon appeared, roared at him, and used its water technique to attack the man who had insulted the dragon clan. Zhao prepared his rope, preparing to assault the dragon. "A mere human dares to come to the dragon clan and be noisy," he spoke arrogantly. Zhao used the rope to tame the dragon, telling him that, as expected of the dragon clan, even the observer is at the pinnacle of the martial art lineage. Unfortunately, this treasure is intended to catch the dragon clan. "If you do not surrender, I will beat you until you do," he said. He yelled for the rope to go and catch the dragon. The rope trapped the dragon in a heartbeat, and the dragon was perplexed as to how it had been taken so rapidly. Other dragons in the area were also captured. They were wide-eyed and confused, not knowing how they had been captured as well. Zhao continued to catch as many dragons as he could while calling for other dragons to stop, but the other dragons did not. They attempted to flee, but many were unable to do so, and many were apprehended. The patriarch of the dragon clan was seeing his kind being caught, and yelled at Zhao about who he was and what he wanted. Zhao smiled and questioned if Aoshi hadn't told him that the master required horses and that's why he chose you. The dragon clan. "Presumptuous!" screamed the grandfather. He went on to say that he wished to see the nameless peak mountain for himself. But because he's causing a commotion, He'll deal with him first, he said. He jumped at him, ready to do something, and he did, transforming into his real dragon form and roaring at him, instructing him to go to the nameless mountain peak. Xiao was taken aback by his transformation and what he said. And he yelled back, saying that Master had already put his plan into motion. He then informed the Patriarch that Qin had given him a magical weapon with which to conquer the Dragon Clan. So, why don't you just give up? He said this in an angry tone, and he let go of the rope to assault him, and it pierced through his head, shattering the Patriarch's head into water particles. The Patriarch was forced back into his human form due to the rope negating his power. The Dragon Clan's master was taken aback when he realized this was the dragon binding vine. He told him it was no surprise he was so pompous. But has your master's immaculate strategy taken our Dragon Clan's Emperor Weapon Guard into account? He inquired, and the weapon guard materialized behind the Patriarch. Zhao was taken aback when he saw the weapon as he formed a ball of water in his palm. The Patriarch yelled at the dumb human. The Patriarch's technique was aimed squarely at Zhao, and the Patriarch told him that he would pay the price. While Zhao is fighting for his life, Qin is playing basketball as he puts the basketball in the net. Before I go any further, I just want to let you know that if I make a mistake, please remember that I know nothing about basketball and that I'm confident I'll be alright. You never know until you try, after all. Anyway, back to the recap. On the basketball court at Nameless Mountain, this round goes to Chen's team, and everyone leveled up except for Chen, who is already too powerful to level up, or perhaps he is a normal human and cannot level up, ha ha. Chen Huang was surprised as they leveled up, and she thought that, as expected from Master's creation, basketball has an enormous amount of Dao energy, and cultivation can't be improved or decreased based on victory or loss. Even we, the cheerleaders, get a small reward for the home team winning, she thought. Someone yelled. Round 2 start. Chen reached for the basketball. They were all playing basketball seriously while Chen reached for the ball. Yi Jinghong was eager to help. His master, Xiaowu, Qinin, and Yan Xiaofeng arrived at the heart of the Stone Ocean. Xiaoyin inquired as to what was going on. Yan Xiaofeng responded, saying it's the Demon Clan, and the leader is holding the heavenly Qin. We're too late, he whispered angrily, gritting his teeth. Xiaowu was taken aback, and she told Xiaoyin and Yan Xiaofeng, who would now be known as Zion, that the might of the Emperor weapon should not be underestimated, and that they should back off and let her attempt this. Xiaowu glided towards the Demon King and threatened him that if he did not leave the heavenly Demon Qin, she would end his life. When the Demon Lord spotted Xiaowu, he became enraged and yelled, You dare to disrupt my plan of obtaining the heavenly Demon Qin! You're naive to think you can beat me, he added. The demon ruler released the power of the heavenly Demon Qin, and told her he would sacrifice her to the heavenly Demon Qin. Xiaowu was amazed that the Emperor weapon can even rupture space. While she was astonished, she was not terrified, and she told herself that she could not back down for Chen's sake. She began to use the ability bestowed to her by the mysterious Chen. Chen's aura enveloped her entire body, and she was astonished to see the heavenly Demon Qin fearful of Chen's aura at the time. She began to use more of his power, and the same ancient symbols that surrounded the mysterious Chen materialized in front of Xiaowu. When the Demon Lord observed what the heavenly Demon Qin was doing, he was shocked and perplexed. The heavenly Demon Qin escaped the Demon Lord's grasp and turned on them, ready to slaughter them all, and everyone exclaimed, What? Xiaowu commanded the Qin to approach her, and it did so as rapidly as it could, but it also bowed, indicating that it would submit to her and her master. And she assured it that its decision was unquestionably wise. She clutched the heavenly Demon Qin in one hand and played the heavenly Demon Qin with the other. And everyone was stunned that the Emperor weapon just gladly submitted to her just like that. The Demon Lord murmured that she was a mighty powerhouse. The Demon Lord ordered everyone to flee while he attempted to stop Xiaowu's attack, but no one could get away, and Baihu wailed in agony. Once again, the Demon Lord's death was so terrible that the only thing shown is the Demon Lord's head and the entire Demon Clan division at the Juxian Palace being eliminated. Zion asked her whether she was a powerhouse when they were floating in the air. Xiaowu responded, saying no. She said that she just acquired Chen's will and had his aura on her, which compelled the heavenly demon Qin to submit to her, and it was all Chen's doing. Someone suddenly assaulted them, and the heavenly demon Qin shielded them by forming a shield around them. They were perplexed by what had recently occurred, and Xiaowu inquired whether this was an imperial weapon. Back at the roaring storm ocean, Xiao was squeezing his stomach in anguish and laughing, stating that killing me would offend the master. The patriarch stared at him and informed him he was going to murder him and see if this so-called mysterious expert would come to the Dragon Clan to avenge him. He yelled fiercely as he jumped at him to kill him, but the heavenly demon Qin deflected the strike. The patriarch was violently pushed back, and the weapon guard he was carrying abandoned him. The weapon flew towards Xiaowu, bowed and submitted to her, and the emperor was shocked to see her. Xiaowu narrowed her eyes at the patriarch, informing him that a weapon with a soul is far smarter than the Dragon Clan, knowing that a good bird chooses a tree to nest in. So, what is your choice? She inquired. For a minute the patriarch was silent before speaking, assuring her that the Dragon Clan was willing to offer her the wooden spiritual beads and antique chariots as a sign of surrender. I can't believe it. This old man gave up faster than a lion when it couldn't find food, and Xiaowu thought to herself. I finally dare to see you now that I have two Emperor weapons, she stated with assurance in her tone. Meanwhile, someplace on the nameless peak sky, Xuanwu was still flying, cursing, thinking to himself that his injuries weren't good and that he needed to rest. While flying, he noticed something and came to a halt. As he peered closer, he was surprised to discover that this is the energy of the lustrous pearl, as he can sense it coming from beneath. He flew down and was astounded by what he saw. He wondered why there was a group of mortals. He observed mortals playing basketball but had no idea what it was, and he saw one of the mortals yelling at the other to block him. The other encouraged him not to just stand there, but to come pick up and roll that ball. The guy questioned hesitantly. Pick and roll, what's that? Mere mortals, you dare blaspheme the Black Warrior Clan's sacred item. Xuanwu yelled at them. You looking for death? He shouted, charging at them and threatening to kill them all. He yelled about how he'd receive, but before he could finish, he was cut off by something, and he screamed in pain. He transformed into a turtle, and Xuanwu realized he couldn't keep his human form. And he landed just behind Qin, who didn't do anything and was doing something I couldn't even explain. He has to leave this dangerous place, Xuanwu murmured to himself, sweating bullets. Seeing the turtle, Xiaoyin asked Xiaowu whether she wished to expel this black warrior. Xiaowu responded, saying that because Qin didn't say anything, let's pretend we didn't see it. She smiled as she looked at the turtle, who was immobilized in fear and horror. The turtle started to walk, but slowly. Not the actual turtles when they are slow, but the actual slowness, like when you are dizzy. He told himself that as long as he left the massive spiritual gathering array, he would be secure, but he fell before he could get away. Chen was shocked after Xiaowu handed over the heavenly demon Qin, and he asked, where did such a big soft-shell turtle come from? How about they catch the soft-shell turtle and stew it? Chen offered to the others. He suggested that they eat a good restorative soup tonight. He was stunned when he heard Chen say this, and the turtle bowed repeatedly, asking him to spare his life. Xiaowu informed him that begging would not work. She went on to say that Qin does not tolerate those who are useless to him. The turtle expressed gratitude for the tip, adding, Immortal sister, I understand. He dashed up to the basketball and exclaimed, Behold, both players were stunned. And he performed something extremely cool, he dunked. And Qin was so amazed that he clapped for it, adding, This soft-shelled turtle is interesting, it can even dunk. He then chose not to kill it, and instead keep it for amusement. Xiao Bai wanted to impress his master as well, so he reasoned that he didn't need to castrate himself and could simply play ball. Xiao Bai went toward the basketball to show his master what he could do, and he decided to show off a little bit. And while he was doing so, the turtle was dancing in delight, but his tail did notice Xiao Bai, and it was shocked. But as soon as Xiao Bai passed by, the turtle bit him, informing him that he couldn't take his credit simply because he was a wailing deity dog. Xiao Bai shouted in agony, asking why he bit him, and he told him that he had no morality. The turtle then left him and went after the basketball, which he did something with so that its aura might spread over the area. Everyone there was amazed that this was the energy of the lustrous pearl, and Xiao Bai was in wonder when he saw this, and the turtle asked him if he could do it. Someone in the audience stated that it is so smooth that it is simply pleasant to the mind. Yi Jinghong whispered to his daughter that he felt master liked her while they were talking. Chen, Xiao Bai, and the turtle were playing together. Xiaowu was stunned and attempted to disregard what he said, and she begged her father not to think like this and not to guide her like this, and she asked him if he had forgotten what happened a few days before. Her father did not pay attention to her. Instead, he added that the master had given her the most opportunities out of the entire group. He got serious, telling her that even if he didn't like her, he valued her. Yi Jinghong smiled and told her that since master is pretending to be immortal, he will undoubtedly marry and have children, just as he imagined Chen and Xiao were marrying. Her eyes twinkled, and she explained that what he meant was that she could give it a shot. She was eager and determined to spend time with Chen. And Yi Jinghong told her that master frequently says to attempt to transform a bike into a motorcycle. Although he has no idea what a bike or a motorcycle is, he can see that he admires this kind of fighting spirit. What Chen meant was anything is possible as long as you have the motivation to do it. Yi Jinghong presented her a book with a bizarre picture of Chen on the cover, and Yi Jinghong stated that this book is the 1,000 Rules of Mortals, which he created by observing master's words and behaviors. He instructed her to thoroughly read and comprehend it. Strangely, people who resemble the ninja turtles in human form are flying somewhere. Xiaoqi and Sun Wufang were going to the Rabbit Clan to confront the man who made Chen so angry. Sun Wufang inquired of Xiaoqi in a different language whether she intended to attack. In the same language, Xiaoqi said, "We will hold on and see what they're up to first," she said seriously. When she saw the old man, Xiaoqi told him that she wanted the three of them to repent in front of her mother's grave and then stop existing in this world. The old man laughed and told her that she was just 8 years old and that her cultivation may reach the martial king stage. He described it as a great opportunity for her. "But don't think you can threaten us like that on your own," he said. Xiaoqi showed him 2 fingers and told him that he is mistaken. She then indicated with 1 finger that this was not a threat. It was a command. The old man became enraged and questioned her if she thought she could just order them like that because she had the Sun family's support. Sun Wufang advised the old man not to mention him and to act as if he were heir. Sun Wufang asked another elderly guy if he wanted any sunflower seeds. The old man was weirded out when he knew that these sunflower seeds came from his mouth. When they were fighting, the old guy told him to remember to put the tiny table away, and he smiled kindly at him. Sun Wufang knew Xiaoqi had the sword handed to him by the master, so he didn't need to intervene. The second old man instructed his comrades Hugu and Kunping that they would take down the rebellious beat-down together. Xiaoqi simply stood there, and her golden aura around her. Xiaoqi laughed, amused that this elderly old wanted to kill her. She then emitted a shockwave, which blew them away. The old man was taken aback as he sensed the immense force she was releasing. And the old man was surprised that he couldn't go much closer. He cursed and said, "White Moon Tray, come to me!" And then a strange weapon appeared. "Behold, this magical treasure will definitely surprise you," he said. Xiaoqi released the sword and told him it was pointless. He was surprised to find his miraculous treasure broken after only a few seconds. She began to beat them all up, but stopped herself because murdering them would tarnish the master's blade. Sun Wufeng, the old man, was stunned once Xiaoqi had finished thrashing them. She placed the sword back on its sheath and smiled, saying she had already ended their cultivation. She then requested that Sun Wufeng bring them to her mother's grave and repent. All of the old men were groaning in pain as they lay there. Someone suddenly grabbed Chen's hand and shoved it against her chest. She also screamed at Chen. The insane woman asked him why doesn't he touch her. Chen yelled in terror, warning her not to come to his clinic to cause trouble because she plainly wasn't sick. She came to a halt and told him she was plainly suffering from lovesickness. Before she could say anything else, a lady much smaller than her was able to shove her aside, and this mother begged Chen to please spare her kid. The push blew the mad woman away, and she cursed, and Chen's eyes bulged in surprise. Chen then inspected the girl to see what was wrong with her, and he was astonished to learn that she had been poisoned. Nonetheless, Chen was now fascinated as to what kind of poison could make the poor girl's face green. At that point, a strange man appeared and told Chen Fan not to approach her. The red crown by Luo poison has poisoned her. The weird man was shocked that he could diagnose her with just a glance. He considered Chen an expert, but dismissed the idea. Chen grimaced when he saw the beggar, and heard him boast that he could treat her. Chen thought to himself, "This guy smells like alcohol. Could he be talking while drunk?" The man instructed the mother to place the infant on the ground on the bench, hold her steady, and not allow her to stir. The mother agreed. Her daughter's health remained a concern. The man sipped his sake. He utilized the technique and slapped his palm against her back, causing the youngster to cough out the poison in her body. The person stated that the snake venom from her body had been purified. He then said that he was lucky to have detected it earlier. Otherwise, if she was still infected with the red crown jade trap poison, even the gods would struggle to save her. Chen was startled and astounded that he could remove the poison with a single movement. Was this the famed cleansing, he wondered? The little girl awoke slowly, and her mother was relieved that she could now speak. The old man destroyed the poison that was on the ground. The man informed Chen that the poison was still extremely harmful, and that he would assist him in dealing with it. Chen was taken aback by what he had done. He told him he'd leave it to him. He then bid him farewell and told him he still needed to find the snake. Chen knew it was detoxifying and moving things, but he didn't expect a street beggar to be someone extraordinary. Chen then realized that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and that if he could connect with the world of martial arts with the help of this master, his medical skills would undoubtedly improve. He then asked if he was going to slay a demon and if he might accompany him. The old guy assured him that he may come because he provided free therapy to the townspeople, which might be considered charitable. Chen smiled as he introduced himself, saying his name was Chen Fan, but he may call him Xiao Chen. He then inquired as to his name. The old man replied, informing him he could address him as Elder Zhang. A black snake was crawling about in the forest while they were conversing. This was the courtyard of the Nong family in Qinxi town. While seeking for the snake, Chen inquired about a red-crowned Bailuoqing. Elder Zhang responded, telling him that the red-crowned Bailuoqing is a valuable snake that dwells in cold, secluded areas. It is incredibly valuable even when young, and after age, it can even transform into a monster. If it's so deadly, we better catch it as soon as possible. Chen stated. The old guy informed him he didn't think so, explaining that this red-crowned Bailuoqing doesn't do anything out of the ordinary. He wouldn't have found it, and his search would have been futile. Chen covered his nose, grumbling that the elderly guy should be able to smell with such a strong odor, but he wondered whether he was faking not to detect it. He was aware of expert taboos or the need for others to confess their identity. He wondered if the old man was concealing his identity. He decided to just go along with it. Chen then picked up the leaf and inquired of Elder Zhang whether it had the poison of the red-crowned Luoqing. When Elder Zhang saw Chen holding one of the most lethal venoms in his hand, he spit out his sake. Elder Zhang slapped his hand, forcing him to throw away the poison in order to protect him. Chen was taken aback. And Elder Zhang told him that the poison of the Red Crown by Luoqing can travel through the air and poison him in this way. While Elder Zhang was refining the poison, he cautioned him that the snake would be cunning. Fortunately, he caught it in time. He told Chen to go find a place to rest while he waited for him to give him. But he was interrupted when Chen exclaimed, "That's great, my nails didn't change colors, and I wasn't poisoned." When the old guy heard this, he was taken aback. He couldn't believe he hadn't been poisoned. He pondered if he had taken a remedy that could cleanse the snake's poison by accident. Chen smirked, convinced that Elder Zhang had detoxified him behind his back. He then asked himself if he considered himself a lone expert. Elder Zhang was right when he mentioned that Xiao Chen accidentally detoxified the snake poison. Nevertheless, Chen utterly misunderstood since he believed that Elder Zhang was the one who detoxified him. Chen looked ahead and noticed the black snake staring at him in surprise. Chen was taken aback. When Xiao Chen asked if that was the snake, Elder Zhang agreed. As he jumped at it and used one of his skills to trap it, the black snake snarled viciously. Elder Zhang smiled and said, "I finally caught you." And he used the hand sign to do something to the snake with his hand. The snake wiggled, trying to release himself from this man. Chen was astounded that it had shrunk. Chen inquired as to whether he could see it. And the old man consented, assuring him he'd put a seal so it couldn't damage anyone anymore. Chen understood it was the original shape when he held it in his hands. Suddenly, the snake began to grow larger again, and Xiao Chen, along with Elder Zhang, cursed, wondering if the seal had been broken. Chen was afraid as the black snake hissed in his face. Chen screamed in terror and hurled the snake away, causing it to explode. What happened here is that Chen unwittingly used a small amount of his power when he threw it away. And Elder Zhang was surprised that it exploded without him using any technique. He was going to apply a technique when it detonated. And Chen believed that it was Elder Zhang who responded immediately and saved his life. Elder Zhang's jaw dropped in surprise, and he was rendered speechless. He was stunned, and I think he was trying to expand his jaw even wider. He was sweating profusely, thinking to himself that he hadn't done anything. What happened to the Red Crown by Luoqing? Then he remembered how, despite the fact that Xiao Chen was mortal, he discovered the poison sooner than him. He began to make connections, realizing that he was the one who pointed out the snake for him to find it, and he even killed Red Crown by Luoqing in one hit. And the old guy imagined the youngster was just like him, a martial artist hiding his immortality, as he told himself to watch as I expose him. Elder Zhang carried out his initial strategy to expose him by offering him sake and inquiring whether he was thirsty. Chen agreed and thanked him. While Chen was drinking, Elder Zhang smiled mischievously and wondered if Chen realized how excellent a solitary expert's wine is, and how potent his homemade medical wine is, and how one sip is enough to digest. Chen spit out the remainder of the sake. He looked at him, and told Elder Zhang that his wine was terrible, and he returned the wine to him. "I'll drink it to prove you wrong." He remarked this while taking the wine and sipping it himself. Elder Zhang reasoned that Chen must have discovered something odd about this one. He purposefully stated that refusing to drink it was harmful. He said to himself, "This kid is smart." Chen then invited him to visit his home and sample his wine. Elder Zhang remained unhappy, but he agreed, telling him to lead the way. Chen smiled and said, "I live on the hillside in that shadowed area, and this is my home." The elderly guy was once again amazed that, despite his cultivation, he couldn't see the hill well, and he continued walking. The old man was taken aback when he sensed the aura of royal herbs and 9th grade spiritual medicines. Xiaoqi shouted out to her brother, waving her hand in his direction. And Deshan smiled and approached him. And Xiaoqi jumped at Chen, shouting with excitement that he was back, and Chen agreed, and he greeted her with open arms. Elder Zhang was wide-eyed as he saw how powerful Xiaoqi was. Chen stroked Xiaoqi's hair and inquired if she had gotten her retribution. Xiaoqi informed him that she had used the sword he had given her and had ferociously punched those terrible bastards. It was just as well that her mother couldn't return back to life. She stated. Chen thanked Sun Wufang and Dezhuang for helping him. Sun Wufang responded, "Don't mention it." He then told him that he could see that he was recruiting some people, and he wondered if the Sun family could also be recruited. Elder Zhang was still taken aback that this girl was a martial emperor, and he was even more taken aback that the Daozhan monkey clan had come to seek refuge. Who is Chan? He questioned himself. While Elder Zhang was lost in thought, Deshan came in front of him and spit on the ground in front of him, shocking the old man. Elder Zhang recognized Deshan's voice and inquired as to how far he had fallen. A dog that speaks nonsense, Deshan asked. What does he mean by fallen? Deshan asked. However, he does not allow Elder Zhang to answer. Instead, he tells him that this is his greatest destiny. And him being chosen by Master is also destiny. He then warned him not to be stupid. Hearing this, Elder Zhang's jaw hung slightly in disbelief, and he thought to himself that no matter how knowledgeable Chen Fan was, he had been drinking his entire life. How can he accept someone like him? He also thought to himself that he'd have to return at night to learn more. After a few seconds, Elder Zhang vanished, and Chen inquired as to where is Elder Zhang. He inquired once more if they had seen the old man recently. Xiaoqi replied that she had not. And Deshan was thinking to himself, there will come a time when he will regret drinking. Chen was sitting in front of a river, fishing. He was just resting and waited for the fish to come to him. Both Qin Potion and Yi Jinghong were in the bushes looking at their master, and Qin Potion informed Yi Jinghong that the river had no fish, frogs, or even ponds. What is the purpose of Master fishing? He inquired. Maybe Master is fishing for all living creatures, said Yi Jinghong. He was unsure whether that was true or not. Xiaowu presented Chen with some fruit. Chen was taken aback, yet he did not deny Xiaowu's fruits. They sat together, and Xiaowu told him to eat some fruits before offering him a fruit to eat. Chen smiled as he thanked her. Something was in the air in this drawing for some unknown reason. I had no idea what that was, but you can tell just by looking at this drawing. A golden mist arrived after Chen and Xiaowu finished eating, and Xiaowu was surprised that something was happening in the sky. Xuan with the turtle was stunned to detect such strong demonic energy, and he concluded that they had indeed followed him. Yi Jinghong got serious and inquired of Qin Potion as to the identity of the Black Warriors. The golden cloud carried hundreds of people, and those people were carrying clan flags. Xuanwu exclaimed, "It's the experts of the Golden Turtle Clan, and they're going for me and the Lustrous Pearl," he stated, and Qin Potion was enraged and yelled angrily, "You dare plan to steal Master's basketball, you dummies! I'm going to cut you up!" He mentioned this when releasing his new kitchen knife. Xiaowu began to relax again, and she put her head on Chen's shoulder, thinking to herself that there would be no trouble with Chen present. Before all the turtles could do something, a blast of power came out of the rod, and all those people transformed into turtles. All of the Golden Turtle Clan members began converting back into their natural forms, and one of the elders cursed as he cried that they had been sent back into their original forms. All of the turtles fell into the water, and Chen was shocked to see something moving inside the water, which he described as fish moving. Chen told Xiaowu that he didn't think the river had any living things. Xiaowu simply told him to reel it in quickly and see what he caught. Chen retrieved all of the turtles from the river, but he was unaware that his rod and hook were glowing gold with qi. Damn, he was overjoyed because he had caught a large number of turtles. Xiaowu decided to assist Chen and utilized her qi to gather all of the turtles. Chen was pleased that there were so many, and he suggested to Xiaowu that he prepared them for everyone to eat tonight. Xuanwu shed tears of delight and praised his master for vengeance. This is insane. Is he really delighted that his entire clan is about to be eaten? I mean, they may have deceived him, but the fact that he's delighted that his clan is about to be eaten is troubling. Xiaowu blushed slightly and resolved that she would express her feelings to Chen. Tonight, Chen smiled confidently to himself, planning a candlelight meal for the evening. I need to take a fresh step with Xiaowu, he told himself. The earth food that the system rewarded has only 2 bottles of cola left. He expressed his hope that Xiaowu would enjoy it. Chen poured her a drink and told her that she must be thirsty after being on the go for so long, and he advised her to drink first. Xiaowu is astonished and a little afraid gazing at the drink for the first time, which is so dark and bubbling, while Chen is pouring it. She wonders, why does it look like poison? I'm not even going to comment on this. She accepted the drink, but she hesitated a little, thinking to herself that Chen would not harm her. Then she started drinking it like water, which astonished Chen. Her body went into shock, and she felt pain all over her body. She examined her hand and noticed that her 8 wounds appeared to have been severed. Chen approached her and rubbed her back to soothe her agony, explaining that this was called cola and is a drink on earth. Chen was amused and told her she couldn't chug it like that. But she wasn't paying attention to what Chen was saying. Instead, she was astounded to see that her injuries had totally healed and that a great force was streaming into her meridians. A golden glow encircled her body, and she recognized she had advanced to a divine physique. She burped when all of her injuries had healed. Chen chuckled as she was stunned and blushed in humiliation. Oh, right, Xiaowu. Is it allowed for you to be out of the sect for so many days? With a smile, he inquired. If you have something to do, go anytime, don't delay, he stated. Hearing this, Xiaowu was stunned, and she misunderstood what he said, so she asked him if he was telling her to go. Chen responded hesitantly. Certainly not. I just wonder about your future. Xiaowu grasped his hand and she said, Mr. Chen, I like you. She told him that she wants to stay in the nameless peak, don't drive me away. She said this with tears in her eyes. Chen was taken aback and exclaimed, What? But Xiaowu, you're a martial artist, and I'm just an ordinary person, he said, shaking his head. He said that with melancholy in his tone. Xiaowu sobbed and said she liked him just the way he was. Chen wiped her tears. It didn't matter to Xiaowu whether he was an expert or not. I don't care if you're an ordinary person or an immortal, I still love you, she stated. Chen narrowed his eyes, not in anger, but for another reason, and softly whispered, Xiaowu. Chen hugged her, and she stiffened at the unexpected embrace. Chen then confessed his feelings for her. I've loved you since we first met, he added, and Xiaowu's eyes widened as she hugged him back. And yeah, there are a couple now. Chen then inquires as to whether they should inform everyone about their relationship. She responded, saying that if he wished, they could inform everyone. Meanwhile, Elder Zhang was looking about, and when he noticed Xiaowu, his eyes widened with surprise. He had the impression that this woman's physique was exceptional. Could she be an expert on the Nameless Peak? He thought to himself. Chen began to recite a poem that began with yesterday's stars and breeze, a noble's home on the west, on the east of another. A golden energy emerged over the surroundings while he was saying this poetry. After pronouncing those words, structures, and objects Elder Zhang had never seen before, he arrived. Elder Zhang was shocked when, immediately after Chen pronounced those 2 lines, many of the buildings arose. Chen resumed saying his poetry. As their hearts beat as one, the colorless phoenix flies in pairs. Phoenix arrived shortly after he said that, and they attacked Elder Zhang, who jumped aside in shock and amazement. Those phoenixes arrived and assaulted Elder Zhang because, as stated in the poem, they mistook his words for a command to attack. And Elder Zhang questioned whether this was a killing poem? Seriously, this is a fantastic poetry. How can a murdering poem exist? Wait, is there a killing poem? I believe I'm going insane. He went on to say different groups are lively as a participant guesses the warmth of the spring wine. And then those various factions appeared and attacked Elder Zhang. Elder Zhang muttered angrily to himself, Huh! What next? I return to work and fall away while the drums ring. Chen stated, and hundreds of horses rushed towards him. Elder Zhang exclaimed. What? Again? The hundreds of horses charging at him knocked him back, and he fell. He mused to himself that Chen Fan was the expert, and he was frustrated that his drinking had rendered him ignorant. Chen yelled, "What the hell, Elder Zhang?" he said. He was unsure if it was him. Chen inquired as to what had occurred. "Who was it that did this to you?" he inquired, concerned. Elder Zhang did not respond because he was dizzy. Elder Zhang awoke and yelled at Chen to leave him alone. Chen was stunned, and he became enraged. Chen chopped him on the neck with too much force, and Chen informed him he had to save him first. Elder Zhang screamed in agony and was knocked out. Chen reasoned that Elder Zhang is a reclusive specialist who could have done this to him. Could the enemy be nearby because he fainted in my yard? He questioned himself and looked about to see who had caused Elder Zhang to faint. Chen is convinced that he was knocked out by an adversary. He hadn't even realized it was him a minute before. But Xiaowu did notice it, and she was taken aback. Anyway, Chen continues to believe that Xiaowu is present. Otherwise, the unnamed peak would be in danger. Chen then poured a warm soup or whatever on the table and grinned, saying, "As expected of martial artists, your recovery ability is amazing." Elder Zhang only whimpered in agony. And he awoke slowly, wondering where he was and if he was dead. Chen responded, saying that this was his house and that he had not died. He then inquired as to what had happened. He immediately sat up, and he was surprised when Chen made him suffer and cured him, and he misunderstood, believing that he did it on purpose. He felt compelled to flee his palm as quickly as possible. Chen was perplexed as to why Elder Zhang was acting so strangely. Chen then grabbed his leg, but he didn't realize he was using too much force, and he fractured Elder Zhang's bones, which he didn't see as he continued to tell him that he was Chen Fan. He then inquired as to if he had forgotten who he was. Chen shook him and urged him not to worry. He could heal here, and his girlfriend is a martial artist, so she could guard him from the enemy. "Damn it, you devil," thought Elder Zhang, who was in excruciating anguish. Chen tried to assist him until daylight, but he didn't realize it was morning. He became even more concerned when he noticed Elder Zhang not moving and something pouring out of his mouth. He cursed and begged Elder Zhang not to terrify him like this. He inquired once more about what had happened to him. Chen had no idea that everyone, including Xiao Bai, was staring at him. Qin Potion was stunned, saying, "So ruthless!" He said that the master healed Zhang Yinjiu only to torture him. And Yi Jinghong adds that this is the outcome of provoking master. You can't die or live. Everyone present was still stunned. Okay, before I move on to the next chapter, let me say that this was the most incredible chapter I've ever seen. It was not only great, but it made me laugh so hard that I had to take a break. Seriously, how can there be so much misunderstanding? Anyway, as Zhang Yinjiu awoke, he yelled at Chen that even if he did anything wrong to him, he's still an expert, not a villain. Chen was saying something more to him, instructing him to stop fussing and eat his medicine. Zhang Yinjiu said something else, saying he would bow to him and apologize. Chen told him to calm down because he had experience treating mental illnesses. "I am confident that I can cure you," he stated. Chen became weary of arguing with the elderly guy and warned him that if he didn't cooperate, he'd just force him to eat this. And he pictured Chen morphing into the devil. "Chen Fan, you devil!" yelled Zhang Yinjiu. "I urge you to have mercy," he cried before collapsing. Xiaowu, Pfeffenix, Xiao Bai, and the ant were all listening in, and the bird Xiaowu was surprised when he inquired how many times it had happened. Xiao Bai replied that it was the 13th time and that he'd rather die than be tortured like this. Oh, and Xiaowu is wearing a dress that Chen Fan gave her. Xiaowu spoke up, telling Xiao Bai that falling into Chen's clutches was only someone's wild desire. Chen then opened the door and was surprised to discover Xiaowu standing there. Chen and Xiaowu began acting strangely around one another, and all of Chen's pets fled as quickly as they could, and Xiaowu told him, that this was the measuring soul stone that he desired. I happened to bring it, so here you are, she said, and Chen thanked her. She then bolted, informing him she was leaving. Chen was perplexed but responded, "All right." Xiaoqi inquired as to what her brother was up to, and she realized it was a measuring soul stone. She assumed Master was currently disguised as a mortal. Will he send me to the martial arts sect if he senses that I have martial arts spirit? She thought to herself. Chen informed her that he had brought a landscaping stone from outside and asked her to assist him in moving it into the study area. Chen asked for her help, and he thought that since martial arts are revered on the Shinwu continent, and if Xiaoqi has martial spirit, she will be able to master martial arts. Chen reasoned. Xiaoqi smiled enthusiastically and commented on how beautiful this stone was. Chen smiled at her, telling her to assist his brother but not to let the stone tumble over. Xiaoqi felt relieved that she possessed the secret skill of the Sutra's heart. She has the ability to conceal her martial spirit. Chen was taken aback that nothing had transpired. He was perplexed by the stone's lack of reaction, and he sighed because he didn't anticipate Xiaoqi to be the same as him, and that she'd be ordinary. Chen inquired about her interest in learning calligraphy and art. Of course, Xiaoqi expressed an interest in learning. He told her it was okay, and Chen recommended they go to Qingxi town to get some materials. The dignified calligraphy emperor of the Shinwu continent, a white-haired guy, was strolling toward a shop. I would have come to this mortal's shop if it wasn't for the shocking sword energy. He stated this was Tang Baihu. And he questioned, how does Brother Xie contact Yan Xiaofeng, his disciple? Xiaoqi selected an inkstone and exclaimed, Brother, this inkstone is detailed and small. It's so cute. Chen pointed to another inkstone and warned her that while being well made, this inkstone is not quite dignified. Tang Baihu came to a halt when he heard what Chen stated. He went up to Chen and told him, Brother, if you wish to buy an inkstone from this shop, there's nothing greater than that. Tang Baihu arrogantly asserted. Xiaoqi gave him a stern look and instructed him to mind his own business. She questioned him if he didn't comprehend what her brother was saying. Chen apologized on behalf of his sister, telling him that she was still young and hoped he wouldn't mind. Xiaoqi simply stared at him angrily. Tang Baihu reflected on how this girl has an emperor weapon and is likely a senior with extreme strength, but her brother on the other hand is simply a regular mortal. Oh boy, Tang Baihu thought. It appears we have another idiot who is going to look down on Chen. Never judge a book by its cover. It will cause him a heart attack one day. Tang Baihu said. Since his younger sister's vision is so reliable, how about we compete? He informed him that if he chose the battered inkstone here, he would buy everything else in the store. Chen considered it and decided that because he stated so, let's compete. He predicted that we would be able to save a significant amount of money. He went on to say that he chose this square white jade inkstone. Tang Baihu reflected to himself. As one would expect from a novice, he simply understands that white jade is more valuable than stone but is unaware of its ultimate purpose. Tang Baihu said that now that he had made his decision, it was time for the shopkeeper to make his. The merchant smiled and told them that while both gentlemen have excellent vision, Mr. Chen's inkstone is superior. He lifted the inkstone that Chen had chosen. Tang Baihu was enraged and demanded to know what made his superior to his. Chen has simply created a peace sign JN happiness. The shopkeeper explained that recognizing inkstones consisted of 7 major procedures. He explained that, at first glance, despite Mr. Chen has picked a jade stone, its beauty, craftsmanship, and inscription are all inferior to yours, thus yours is significantly superior. The second thing you do is feel. The jade inkstone is smooth and delicate, while the stone inkstone is rough, therefore Mr. Chen's selection is better. Informed the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper told Tang Baihu that the third is the weight, and that the jade inkstone is slightly larger, but lighter because it is not as heavy as your stone inkstone, yours is better. He weighed them while smiling. He went on to state that the fourth element is noise and that the jade inkstone's knocking sound is full and mellow, while the stone inkstone is low sounding, so Mr. Chen's is better. The fifth feature is washing capabilities. Tang Baihu's is better because the stone inkstone is easier to wash. He stated the shopkeeper handed him a sheet of paper and told him the sixth part of finding a good inkstone is the smell. He learns that inkstones have their own fragrance. Therefore, the ink will inevitably blend with the inkstone, affecting the ink's quality. And the shopkeeper advised him to try selling it. Tang Baihu thought, so fragrant. The merchant went on to say that the seventh, its words, inkstone are also alive. You can listen to them to determine their value. He stated. Tang Baihu was taken aback. And he said that ordinary inkstones are lifeless objects. How can they speak? Tang Baihu exclaimed angrily. My personal inkstone is a spiritual king tool, but it can't speak. Is this mortal trying to fool me? He yelled fiercely. The stone then spoke, saying, Master, please listen, and his eyes widened in surprise. The inkstone informed him that when ink is put into jade and stones, it softens the sounds as if it were noiseless, similar to rushing water hitting a stone. Tang Baihu bowed and stated that he did not anticipate the shopkeeper to have any hidden secrets. I was blind, he admitted. The shopkeeper asked what the secret was. Those were the 7 steps that Mr. Chen taught me, he explained. The shopkeeper insisted that it was not his fault that he had lost today in Qingxi town. Who hasn't heard of Mr. Chen's brilliance? Chen simply smiled and waved his hand. Tang Baihu asked Chen if he lived on the nameless mountain peak. Chen responded, Yes, I live on the nameless peak. What prompted you to inquire? He inquired. Tang Baihu grasped his chest in agony, nearly having a heart attack, and thought to himself. Is the expert who unleashed that terrifying sword energy. He coughed up blood while thinking to himself that he had followed the sword energy and, unfortunately, had upset the expert. This is going to be my death sentence, he declared. He bowed and continued. I Tang Baihu have known Chen's name for a long time. Today, I have specifically come to visit. Please accept this gift with a smile, as you have won the bet. Chen was taken aback, stating he was far too nice. Chen then asked if he may give him one of his calligraphies if he didn't mind. Tang Baihu agreed and thanked him. Chen began his calligraphy. It was magnificent handwriting, and Tang Baihu's eyes bulged in surprise. He was astounded that this magnificent poem and calligraphy had made him realize that his development had progressed from martial king to martial emperor in the middle stage. Chen handed him the painting, saying he was finished, and Tang Baihu praised him, saying it was a blessing, and he laughed like the Joker. Chen considered calling him to see if he was okay, but he decided against it because this Tang Baihu person appeared to be insane. Tang Baihu kicked the gate open, and 2 of his friends noticed. Tang Baihu inquired as to why they did not pick him up. What's the matter? The other guy inquired of Zion. Is he insane? Zion just asked. They didn't identify Tang Baihu since he has advanced from the martial king stage to the martial emperor mid-stage, leading them to believe he is someone else. Zion assumed that many specialists had arrived in Qingxi town and wondered if Tang Baihu had been ambushed. The other guy had another thinking, and he questioned whether this was to seize this spot. And the man shouted, "Shameless bastard! What happened to Brother Tang?" Enraged, he asked, leaping at him to strike him in the face. Tang Baihu's eyes bulged in surprise as Zion jumped at him and intended to strike him in the face as well. That's all for now.